Inero,
True.
you're actually one of the first people I ever interviewed in my life, although unfortunately I didn't end up releasing it because the audio was completely shagged. But we met
Yep.
at MSI 2023, and you're actually someone that has been like quite a good personal friend behind the scenes to me, always showing support. Kind of immediately off the bat, there's about 5 or 6 people I think, even before the days where Yamato and IWDominate watched my videos, which is a little bit later on. Off the bat, from like the first 1 or 2 videos, you were like right there behind me. So I've always appreciated you, and it's really good to finally get the chance to sit down and speak to you for a bit longer.
Of course, man. Yeah. It sucked that the first interview didn't happen. That was that was tragic.
Well,
But yeah, it's been chill.
it's interesting because now 2 years later, I can kind of remember some of it and talk to you about it. The thing was back then, because I was very rough around the edges, it was very much like a Nardwuar copy because I hadn't quite found my style yet. So I remember I came into it and I very much had done a lot of research into you and your life. I don't remember all of it. I could probably bring up the research here, but I wanted to just let it flow naturally. It's something to do with you working as something to do with lights. You had some sort of job back home doing like being a light engineer or working with something like that? What was it you were doing?
Yeah, I wanted to I wasn't working in it. I wanted to get into lighting design. Um I went to school for 1 semester and I was deep into that. I was deep into like the music and um like live audio, like sound lighting design. And I wanted to get into I just like the lighting aspect. Thought lights were sick. Wanted to kind of get into that part of like running a show. And then yeah, ended up in esports instead.
And how does that happen? Because you've got quite like a statesman CV almost. Like you've got like a couple years on the books working for like the golden. Remind me of the company name, like the actual NBA company rather than just the LCS team. You had a few years on the books there, from
Yeah.
what I remember. So you've had quite a
Yeah, the
kind
Golden
of
State
a
Warriors.
strange trajectory. Golden State Warriors, that's the one. Talk to me about how you arrived at working in esports.
Um so I was working at a like high ropes course. Um like save people that would like fall in like an obstacle course that was like 30 to 50 feet up. And I would just play league on the side. I wanted to go pro, but like I mean, I wasn't like good enough to go pro. But I was playing on like a shitty duct tape laptop. Um, and so someone had posted, God, I don't remember her name that had posted it, and she tagged me in it to help out this UK team. They were just looking for people. Um, and yeah, I just reached out, got on there. The team was Pride. It was Pride Z, Pride.
Hmm.
That team was like a thing for like a month. That was with Dan. He was on Fnatic for a little bit.
Yep.
Um,
Excel as well.
Mountain, Cedrian, kind of some like throwback names. I'm not sure if people will remember.
Beansu, pretty sure
And then
as
that
well.
turned into Mouse Sports. Yeah, Beansu came in once we got on to Mouse Sports. At least I think that was the timeline. And yeah,
Yeah.
it just went from there. Like I was just trying to get a good, enough money from on the side to get a good PC, and
Isn't there like a crazy
maybe try to
story
play
and like
pro,
a
and then just didn't.
Isn't there like a crazy story like in the European Championship series, like back when it was like the promotion in? Didn't you like have to play like an AD carry game? You had to like sub in or something?
Yeah, I'm technically the first North American import player to Europe, technically, because I played 1 game. Cedrian missed his train, and so I played, and I was in like the G2 house. Well, it's like the fake G2 house. There's like a house in Ireland that had like a bunch of players. It was like me, Jez's, Smitty J, and then there's just a couple other people there. And yeah, I played in our match versus them, and we got first blood, and then suspiciously my internet disconnected, and then I was killed, and then the game was paused. So it was an
Oh
interesting
wow!
start to the game.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
There's some
and
early
we
esports
lost.
conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, I always gave it shit because it's like, okay, yeah, the internet just it took a little while for the pause to be recognized, I guess, guys. Weird that my internet was the one that died. Tragic.
That must have been quite awkward having to play a game against them in the same house as them.
It was chill. We didn't really talk much, to be honest. Like in the house, like we all lived together, but didn't really like interact too much. I was also like very early days, pretty reserved. I kind of kept to myself. So I would just hang out with like me, the guy who like owned the house, Alan, and my girlfriend, and that was basically it. Um, so I kept to myself. It is whatever. I
It's in-
expected to lose anyways. Like we put me in as AD carry. Is like I don't even play
Were you any good at
AD,
Were you any
and I
good at
wasn't
the
even very
time? Were
good.
you any good at the game at the time? Like what kind of elo were you?
I was like D1, bro. I wasn't very good. Um, so we could have solo killed our lane if I wasn't a complete coward and I flashed forward and autoed, but it's chill. I think I was missing like every single bit of farm. I can't farm to save my life. It was a struggle. Beansu was playing Galio. This is like OG Galio as well. It was there's no way we were winning this game. Like it was doomed.
That is so interesting that you've kind of revealed a tidbit that you were, technically speaking, the first North American import to EU. That's quite crazy to
Yeah,
think
it's a
about.
funny technicality.
Of course. And then it's interesting though, isn't it? Because I spoke to Dokley yesterday. So many of you NA guys have such a strange start in it because he obviously went over and played in Australia and then was like went to Vietnam and places like that to play in Rift Rivals. And you got your start staying in like what sounds like a little fucking house in Ireland. How did that affect your kind of perception of esports to begin with?
Um, I don't know if it really like changed my perception of esports. I didn't really know what to think of it too much anyways. I was kind of just doing it for fun. It just seemed like a cool thing to get into and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life yet. Um, so I was like, shit, I can go live in Northern Ireland for a little bit and play video games. Hell yeah, dude. That
Do you learn any
sounds
IRA
pretty good.
songs? Learn any IRA songs when you were there, or not really?
Uh, yeah, I don't remember them too well, but it wasn't an uncommon thing to hear out there. Dude, it was weird. I remember my girlfriend told me at the time, I think it was like June 12th or July 12th is some like important day out there for that type of thing, and they were like burning like massive pyres of um just wood. It was just a bunch of random stuff like stacked crazy high. The whole countryside would just get like smoked up, and she's like, "You probably just shouldn't go outside during this time because they don't like it when people like aren't from there or just around and it's dangerous." And I was like, "Cool, interesting,
Yeah, fine with me.
that's
I'm gonna
fun."
I'm gonna play League.
Yeah, cheers.
So that's when you got woke.
Yeah,
That's when the woke started.
yeah, I went woke at that point. That is true. Yeah,
And take me
big
through
moment
your
for me.
career sort of after that, because you go and you play in Ireland for a bit, and then if I just check your Leaguepedia, I think from what I understand, after that point, it's back to the LCS. Kind of you were there and maybe until the spring of 2016, and then you took quite a big break from what it looks like on your Leaguepedia until 2017 summer. You were back on Echo Fox, yeah, Echo Fox.
Yeah, so after Ireland, I actually ended up in Germany for a little bit.
Okay.
Because I joined, like, I was in mouse sports at the time, and then I couldn't stay in Ireland anymore because obviously not on a work visa. I'm just on a, hey,
It's
I'm
confusing
just
because you
visiting the
look
country
you
for
look a
leisure.
little you look a little like a leprechaun, so you would have thought maybe you could have convinced them.
Maybe I can fit in, especially back when I had the hair. That was a fit in, I guess. So I was in Cologne for a little bit. Um, that didn't last very long for the same reason because I can't live there, and mouse sports wasn't going to get me a work visa. So don't really know what they expected to have happen there, but eventually I just left. So after our like it was two splits I was with them. Um we left, which is kind of funny. Like the team that we ended up having as I was leaving was pretty good names in the grand scheme of things. It was like Caps, Upset, Dan. Um I think the top and support ended up not being people that like went into LEC,
So you
but
worked with Caps back in
like
when
pretty
would
good
this have
names.
been? 2015, 2016?
Yeah, but it was, like, not really working with him, didn't really work with either of them too much. At this point, I was kind of, like, on the way out of mouse sports because I was pretty annoyed with the situation that was happening. So I was there mainly just helping, like, Dan. So I worked with him for a little bit, but not too much,
Did you
to
have
be
much of an
honest.
impression
It was
just
kinda
of
cool.
him as a person, just like seeing him around, or
Um, I think he had the reputation, like, a lot of people really didn't like Caps back then, is what it seemed like. But Dan vouched for him pretty hard, saying he thought the guy was really good, and I know, like, Upset, I think, liked him. If I'm remembering correctly, I'm pretty sure, like, they liked each other. Um, he was one of those guys that I learned a lot from it just from the, like, short interaction I had with him where you listen to him and you're like, "Whoa, this guy's, like, kinda delusional." Like, he's sitting here talking about, like, "I'm gonna go to Worlds, and I'm gonna win Worlds," like, ASAP. He's like, "I'm good enough, I can do it," and, we're sitting in, like, tier 2, not a very good team either, just like, "Okay, bro. Whatever you need to tell yourself." Um, but I mean, he's fucking goated. Like that guy is insanely good. I think he just had like a bad solo queue rep at the time, so people didn't fuck with him because he just inted a little bit in solo queue. But that's always kind of been him as a person. He just learned off of doing that, I guess. Um, so it's kind of cool to like run into him. Like he went from that to I believe it was like the Dark Passage team
Yeah, he went to Dark
afterwards
Passage in the
with
TCL.
Xerxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. It was like a cool little like, you know, passed him at one point and then kind of went on from there. Pretty sick.
So
But
yeah,
yeah, I finished with mouse sports and then went to I mean, dude, I had like a dumb like roller coaster history after that. I went to Dream Team, which is like a whole team scandal that was a mess, then Detained Minds in Australia.
I remember that. That was the
Um
whole thing as well, right?
yeah, so Dream Team was NACL, Tainted Minds, I went right after. So I never really had like a break in my career. I don't know if the Leaguepedia thing like follows it super well.
Oh yeah,
But I
no.
didn't have a break. I went from one team to another. It just the teams were a nightmare. Because it was just like the wild west of esports back then where it's just scam after scam is happening. And then ended up on Echo Fox after that.
How do you find the kind of the perseverance back then to keep going at it? Because presumably, I mean, I think you're around. I don't mean to expose you. I think you're around 30 now, from what I remember. You would have been back then
Yeah.
about in your early 20s. You're kind of making your way in the world. You're away from home, presumably, having to speak to your parents like, "Hey, Ma, I'm in fucking Cologne, and now I'm in Australia, and they didn't pay me this month." It's like they presumably weren't too keen on you doing it. How do you find the perseverance of, well, this next opportunity will surely be okay?
Um, Honestly, I just wanted to do it for the travel. Like I really enjoyed League and I kind of enjoyed what I was getting from it just on a personal level. I felt like I was getting better every year and kind of understanding more of what it was like in the job of being a coach and a leader. But the travel part was pretty sick. Like even despite all the bad situations, like I got to travel and be in LA for a little bit. I got to travel and be in, Cologne, Northern Ireland, Australia. I was living in all these pretty sick places that I don't think I would have been able to if I had just taken like a normal path. So I was like, shit, I'm gonna keep doing this until I have like a better idea of what I want to do, or maybe like this blows up. Like I never really was sure if I would end up being able to make it into an LCS team because it's always been hard to just like break into that level, especially as a coach. Um, but I had like good motivators outside of the game like that too, because I had an opportunity to be an LEC back on Mouse Sports. Like Splice had reached out and wanted me to be head coach when they had promoted in, but I turned it down. So it was always kind of in the back of my mind that I could find that opportunity on
You could have
another
been like
team.
Dylan Falco. You could have been like a fake European.
Yeah, it could have been. I didn't feel like I was ready. I was just like, I don't know, man. This is like my first year coaching, and I'm getting an LEC spot. I don't. I think I had like good things to bring to the team, but shit, I don't really know if I'm good enough to really do that. Because yeah, at the time, I'm like 2015. That would have been. I'm 21 years old. I'm not really super ready to go. I'm like 21, 22. I'm still a kid, so kind of glad I took a break. And then yeah, I just stayed motivated because of that. The travel was fucking nice despite everything.
Give me an insight into kind of like who you were like growing up, like kind of from the just before this period of time. Because you start traveling to places like Ireland around the ages of like 19, 20, presumably doing a little bit of travel before that. But who was Nicholas Smith growing up? Like what kind of a kid was he? If I spoke to your mom or siblings or people you went to school with, like kind of what impression would they give me of you, you think?
Um, I was honestly kind of like a shut-in kid. I really like sports growing up, but I wasn't able to do sports through middle school. I had like a pretty bad asthma attack that put me in the hospital.
One second, I
Uh,
think the Discord is lagging a bit. Don't know
yeah,
why.
you're all right. Just let me know when you're good.
Are people on stream experiencing that as well? It's like a little bit of lag. Don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, Jake's not finding me, but Inero is lag. Yo, it's probably the C9 internet right now.
Yeah, no
We just
worries.
moved houses,
There's a
and
lot
it's
of there's a lot of
been
listen,
awful.
listen, Optimus Prime. Just stop talking for a second, okay? We're gonna wait for the internet to come back.
Yeah, all right.
Ah, you sound good for a second. Okay, try talking again.
All right, testing again.
Okay, you were talking
Hello.
about an asthma attack.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, yeah, the internet here is, like, rough right now after moving.
No worries.
Yeah, I had a pretty bad asthma attack, that put me in the hospital for a little bit. Um, it's, like, scared my parents, so they took me out of, like, sports, but I really loved, like, football growing up. Um, so I moved over to, like, gaming. Gaming became, like, my competitive outlet because I really, like, needed that. So I was deep into Call of Duty. I'd be, like, game battles and shit all the time as a kid. I'd just get out of school, come do that. I was pretty good in school, so I didn't spend much time, like, studying or doing homework. I would usually just cram that stuff in the morning. So I would just spend my nights playing Call of Duty every night, to be honest with you, um, which was fun. And I found League of Legends through game battles because it just popped up on there one day,
I feel like
back
MLG
in like
was a big connector
2012.
because I feel like weirdly that's also a way that I got into League. I had friends that played
Yeah,
League, but I remember I followed Call of Duty, and then occasionally you'd look at the MLG YouTube. It's like you see what new videos have been uploaded for Call of Duty, and it'd be like maybe you watch a bit of
yeah,
Dota, maybe you watch a bit of Halo, maybe you watch a bit of League. Back then it was all kind of quite interconnected, wasn't it?
yeah. It was all because you do it's like LAN tournaments. So there was like the NLG Raw event, which I know had a league thing on it. So yeah, I just got into it from that, and I hated League at first, to be honest. I tried it in 2012. I was like, this game sucks. It's horrible. I just want to play Call of Duty. But none of my friends got into it, so I ended up coming back to League later in like 2014 and really like dove into it and started playing. Um, but outside of the League part, I was basically full on the track just to join the military. That was kind of my plan. Um, People are saying I'm a robot again in my robot mode. Not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah, you're a little bit robot, but I'm not sure what you can do to fix it. Tell someone to stop downloading
Uh,
stuff, man. What are they doing at the C9 house?
our internet just has like a problem. There's something wrong with the cables. It was fixed yesterday, and now it's started back up again today. So unlucky.
Is Dom there? Is
Um,
Dom there yet? Maybe he can fix it.
nah, nah, he's not there yet.
When is
He's
when is
not here to spend his money to fix everything, man. Unfortunately.
is that part of that? I mean, that's got to be the only reason you're getting him. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll fix it for him. If Inero walks up and's like, "Hey guys, can we fix the internet?" And it's like, "Ah, shut up, buddy.
Shut up, Baldy.
Deal with it."
Um.
Yeah, but yeah,
So
I was just on the military track. I had an appointment to United States Naval Academy, which was pretty hard to get. But I was on the way to that, and then yeah, I ran away from home, just because of some like personal
oh
struggles,
shit.
and basically gave up on all of that. I Yeah, I just said I'm done with school.
Do you feel like you were
I
being
can't just
forced
keep
into
going to
that? You
school.
couldn't handle it, or
No, 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 it had nothing to do with that. I was just kind of like, I was honestly really entitled as a kid. Something I didn't like about myself, thinking back to it, was just I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to do, and then I got denied from one college that I applied to, the University of Texas at Austin. Um, which I didn't even care about going to that school. I just applied to a bunch of different ones, and they denied me, and it pissed me off. Like, how could I be denied when I've done all of these things? I have like perfect SAT scores, perfect school grades. I'm like top of my extracurricular stuff. I was just pissed. Um, and yeah, I just had some like breakdowns over that, which was it's kind of cringe looking back, you know. Um, and then I just had like just personal problems with my parents as well, which is obviously like fine now, but back then as a teenager, you know, everything's a lot more extreme,
so you,
get a lot more edgy as a kid, and then
part of you
you
going
know,
to Europe like a very much like a I'm gonna get as far away as possible from this. Like, did your parents
yeah.
know that you were in Europe?
Yeah, they knew I was in Europe. Like, I've always kept up with my dad through everything. So they knew I was in Europe. It was definitely I'm getting out of here. I'm getting as far away from home as I can. Um, I was kind of a little shithead, to be honest. At first, I would post like Facebook posts like, "Haha, I'm in Ireland now. Haha, I'm in Germany now," just to like rub it in. Um, that like, look, I'm traveling, and you guys have never left your hometown. But it was like really fucked up by me, to be honest. But I was just being a kid. I was just being like a little entitled kid. And I grew out of that thankfully, and like apologized to my parents about how like I was with that. Um, but that type of thing happens. It was rough, like learning the like negative about myself with that and getting past it.
But with this kind of like maybe it's a bit of a reach, but it's such a similar time period of you leaving home, and then you're 21, and then you don't take the LEC offer. I have to ask, like, how much of a connection do you think there is with this kind of like fear of rejection or like intense response to rejection that kind of maybe stopped you from taking such a big undertaking at that age? Do you think that played a factor at all?
Um, I don't really know if it did. Um, Despite like all of the flaws I had where I felt like I deserved more than I was getting, I always felt like I was pretty rational about like where I am. So it was like for the college stuff getting denied, it was like I feel like I deserve this. Like I'm a good candidate. I should be getting this job, and it like pissed me off that I'm not getting it. Whereas for the LEC thing, it was like
Hmm.
appreciated. Like, hey, it's nice to get recognition that like a team would want to pick me up, but I don't think I'm good enough, so I'm not going to accept it. Um, so I don't think it was anything related to like that type of rejection thing. It was genuinely just that I don't think I'm ready for this, and I think they're making like a bad decision, wanting to get me. Which like Yamato's in here. I'm pretty sure Yamato's the one who ended up with that job. They had been talking to both of us, and I think that was Yamato's start on Splice, if I remember right.
It's so interesting
Maybe
how
wrong.
the roads kind of converge in that way. You mentioned there that that kind of immature quality you had is something you grew up of a bit longer, like a bit later. Like, do you remember the period of your life where you kind of experienced that level of growth? Because like one of the things I've noticed in having these conversations with people, like I'm 25, I'm still majorly immature in some ways. I speak to so many people, and that kind of get so many messages from people who are like, I'm going through that exact same thing that someone talked about they went through when they're 21. So I guess maybe if you could give some perspective on how you kind of worked your way out of this kind of entitled place that you think you were in.
I mean, I think experiencing failure is good. It like helped kind of ground me, um, to just recognize that, hey man, even though you think you have this, like you're not shit. Actually, like there's other people doing this that are better than you at these things, and you need to improve. Helped me a lot. My girlfriend at the time, Maddie, also helped me a lot with this. We were dating for 3 years. I have like a good relationship afterwards. Um, just like recognizing where I'm just being childish, and I just have these like um things that I have to change about myself that are just like immature ways of approaching the world. Helped a lot. I mean, I think being in a relationship was one of the biggest things, and then just experiencing failure while thinking that I was doing a good job and failing, like just kind of grounded me, brought me back to earth. That I need to like drop the ego and the entitlement. Like it's really cringe that I'm doing that.
And then you go to the LCS, and you're back in the LCS, you're back on Echo Fox. Talk to me about the start of your time there, because from what I can see, Echo Fox was like a big deal because it was one of the first organizations that
Yeah.
kind of had that kind of ostensible outside of the league NBA backing, big celebrity owner. It was comparatively to what you'd experienced previously with a few scam opportunities. This must have seemed like a golden ticket in some ways.
Yeah, I was like, surely I cannot get scammed on Echo Fox. Like, there's no way that Echo Fox can be a scam at all. It can't be a problem. Like, I got the job because I was helping their academy team just for free at the time after Tainted Minds. I was just there with an invite from Brandini. So I was working with Brandini, Devontae, Greg. Um, and yeah, they fired their LCS coaches and just I think they just wanted to grab someone who was nearby and plug them into the team, which is crazy, but cool. Worked out for me, you know, that I was just there at the right time, right place. Um, it was weird. Like I show up and I'm in like a I'm in like a LA mansion in Beverly Hills. They've got like a pool and everything. Everyone's got like these nice ass rooms. The house is just huge. It was weird. I went from, you know, Tainted Minds where I'm like sitting here melting every day in my room because there's no air conditioning and it's like middle of summer in Australia, like dying. Um, it was surreal, honestly. Like I didn't know what to expect showing up, but I did not expect that. Um, Echo Fox was interesting too. My first year as an LCS head coach, basically I got the job, and then a week later, they had like a whole staff, um, like all the staff members came and did a meeting with like the whole team, basically saying, "Yo, we're not going to scrim any other LCS teams at all. You're only doing internal scrims. You're only scrimming your academy team the entire time." So my intro to LCS was that, which I mean, you can imagine, man. You're only scrimming one team for an entire year. That was like, I guess it was an entire split. It was crazy. I didn't even know how to exactly handle this, and I'm working with like Froggen year one, my LCS team, which was tough.
What was we'll get onto that in a second, but just to clarify, these
Yeah.
people that came in and made this decision, are they esports endemic people, or they were more from like the
No,
sporting world?
no, they were just from the sporting world. The one guy who was like delivering it was Jace Hall. He, I don't think he was in sports. But he was the one who actually spoke to us about it. But it was definitely like an upper level decision, which I'm sure, with the sports background, they had some like, why are we even scrimming other teams? We should keep it internal. We should be able to practice all this just internally.
I'm not sure what can be done about it, but your camera's freezing a little bit. We'll just work through it. Um, in any case, you mentioned
Unlucky.
some difficulties working with Froggen, and it's interesting. You kind of said you brushed. Um, you had a kind of a fleeting moment where you met Caps very early in his career. To go from that to then working with Froggen, who's maybe not esteemed as highly nowadays, but certainly in the annals of history is considered one of the all-time greats of European mid
Yeah.
laners. Talk to me about your experience with him.
It was interesting. I mean, he obviously was like a really big name back then. Way bigger than he is, maybe recognized now, like you said. Um, I learned a lot just from seeing how he thought about the game. I don't necessarily agree with what he thought of things and how he viewed it, but that perspective that he was very confident in and very like strict about was pretty good to see. In academy, you don't really run into players like that who are just like, "This is how you win, and this is how I think that we're gonna win, and I want you to do this." It was more so just like always a team effort. Like everyone's kind of down to just listen because no one knows what the hell they're doing. So it was the first time I ran into someone who was very in his way, and you had to find a way to adapt around it,
And
which
what was his way of winning?
helped me. I mean, I don't really remember at this point exactly like what he wanted, but he had like the specific champs he played, like Lux, Anivia, this type of thing, and he wants to be enabled. Like he wants to be made, so he's strong and is able to play the game, and he's down to like turtle a game out and like do whatever will make him strong. Which worked for him a lot of the time. He was also obviously like he was the best player on the team, so you should generally be playing around him. Looper was there, but he wasn't the type of guy to be like play around me. He was just like, hey man, you have won worlds, but whatever, just I'll do whatever you want. So he
Well,
just made the game
did he?
around him.
That's
Like he was
so
the first like
interesting because
real
Lupe
carry.
is one of those players where it's like, yes, you're right, he did win worlds, but like no one really like looks at Looper as like one of the all-time like like world beaters. Like, oh wow, this guy was like the best top laner in the world. But the way you
Yeah.
said it there was like he was kind of deferring to Froggen, who comparatively obviously is like never won a worlds, obviously. So what was that like? Because back then NA was so strange. You had multiple players that had like either won
Yeah.
worlds or like gone deep in worlds, suddenly playing in NA. What was it like playing with having a world champion on the team?
Yeah, it was kinda weird. I didn't know how to approach him at first, to be honest, and it's just like, well, this guy obviously knows way more about the game than me. Um, but, I don't know how much he cared at that point. Like, again, I'm coming into the team in the middle of the year, and when you come in the middle of the year, I don't think it's generally a very good thing. Like, a team's already kinda gotten used to each other, has their, like, set, um, positive and negative things that they think about each other. So, I don't know how locked in he was. He's very much seemed down to be a passenger to the team, um, which also, you know, could be why he found success on his team before when they won worlds because he was down to just do what his team needed and be a good teammate. Um, but it made sense with Froggen at least because Froggen wanted the game around him and was good about leading the game around himself. Um, but yeah, I really I never got close to the guy. I was mainly focused on learning about myself and sticking to the people that like I knew and like trying to see what's good and bad about me, which is again something I did learn over time is like I can't have those like gaps in a team where like I don't even really know this guy. Like the fact that I don't know him is like a failure as a coach. Um so yeah, don't really know too much about him.
Would you say, just as kind of a final comment on Froggen, I think one of the things that's so kind of like if you were to write like a metaphorical evaluation of that period of time for him towards retirement and latter days in LCS, it seemed in some ways that his play style was perhaps anachronistic, and what I mean by that is out of place, out of time. Like it was like a play style that had expired and was of a meta gone past. Would you say that was fair? Did he kind of like just not adapt beyond what was working for him in like season 2 or 3? Because like you'd watch him in like season 7 and he's playing all these champions. It's like, yeah, not to make a meme out of it, it's just like, oh my god, it's washed, you know? Like he's doing the same
Yeah.
tricks and it's not working.
Um, I mean, I think also when you're on teams that aren't good and you're a vet guy and you're landing like just fighting for 6th or 7th place, eventually teams just aren't going to show interest in you except for the bottom teams. And I'm sure over time that just wasn't interesting to him really at all. And when you're on a bottom team as well too, there's less on you to really um adapt your play to like other carries because you're usually the guy they're spending money on. So you're going to be the one who's getting played around and like you're carrying. Um so I think it's kind of just self-fulfilling in a way where teams just won't look at you. Scouting's always been like pretty weak from teams just everywhere in the West where it's just not really caring about more than just whether you're succeeding right now or whether you're failing right now, and making decisions based on that. So I mean, I think it's just natural. Like he faded out because of it. He went from Echo Fox to Golden Guardians to I think Dignitas after that. Obviously, none of these teams did well. They didn't do well at all. Um, so just disappeared.
I wanted to ask you a question because of you getting involved with the Golden State Warriors later as like an actual job, and like even Echo Fox has like a slight MBA and like sporting people involved with it. So many of those guys, if they're GMs, like will be subservient in some ways more than others, of like kind of like like the Jonah Hill Moneyball kind of vibe of like we need to get this guy, and like the scouting seems at least in some ways like although it can be biblically successful or unsuccessful for them as well. Did you ever have experience of meeting anyone where you got an idea of like maybe they understood what scouting would look like in league? Because at least nowadays it seems that we're moving more towards the sporting way of doing it. Like lots of people are using like metrics, and then you compare that with eye test, and it seems to be more rigorous. But what was it like back then with
Mhm.
the NBA people coming in? Did that in some way? Did you meet people that you were like, oh, maybe that would be good in esports, or were they all clueless?
So I always kind of had a big interest in statistics and how that worked too. So when I was with the Warriors and on Echo Fox, I tried to talk to people that had relevancy in it, more so in the Warriors, and there was never really like a real overlap to how that could integrate into the LCS because I mean they didn't understand the scene well enough. The people that like could read stats and understand like how to incorporate it just didn't know league. Um, and then I still only just had like a baseline understanding, so I can't really just adapt everything they have over to it. So that never really panned out. When it came to team building, I think like Kirk Lacob, who's like the son of the Warriors owner, he worked directly with us pretty often. So I talked to him a pretty good amount. Um, I felt like he had a pretty good idea of a team and like what would make sense there and like how we should be building and like scouting just from, what he recognizes from the Warriors where it wasn't always about just grabbing, you know, we got to get this superstar and this superstar. He's like, I don't care if you come to me and you say, let's spend all this money and get a superstar roster. If you want to do that, go ahead, but I don't think it's good. It's just like a waste of money. It needs to be like more thoughtful and more planned out. Um, which kind of worked out with what we did at Golden Guardians in some ways, especially like the first um edition where we built out over time, bringing over like FBI, who he transitioning to support and starting off an academy with those two. Um, you want us to be more like open-minded to pivoting in the like middle of the year or like between years to like these guys that don't have believe in and surrounding them with veterans that can help build them up, which is obviously like what the Warriors have done too, where they have like their core group has been there for a while now, like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, um, and bringing in young guys and try to incorporate them into the system and get them used to playing with them, kind of being more like system players, but developing them that way. Which sounds like pretty basic, Obviously, I think everyone kind of knows you shouldn't run like a full rookie roster, uh, but it was good talking to them to have some like confirmation on that type of thing for like that's how it worked on their level as well.
Yeah, I suppose it's giving that kind of other end of it, because I feel like whenever people talk about the kind of emergence of corpo types and franchising and sports people being involved in league, it's always just the horror story of like these guys just have no idea what they're doing, but they think they do, and therefore they do it their way. I mean, even you mentioned the internals thing, but it's
Yeah,
nice to hear that there's also another perspective of you potentially getting at least some help or some confidence in the people you were working with
yeah,
at that time. So that
yeah. It
brings
was
us
pretty
to
nice.
sort of the end of Echo Fox, I'd imagine, unless you have any sort of other stories. Because who else was on that team when you were working? It was you had Dardock at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, we had Huni, Dardock, Phoenix, Altec, Adrian was the year we did well. So 2017, that split was a wash. Like that was just shit. Obviously, like we're scrimming internally, and I'm a new coach, so I have no clue how to navigate that. So that was a terrible decision by Echo Fox that they made. 2018 was um, the first split was like an interesting one. We were kind of stomping the whole start of the split. I mean, our team just had like good players, like good individual players. Like Huni obviously is it's really good. Dardock was like the individual guy that everybody like knew was like insane, but there's always like the ooh, he's got like behavior issues type thing. Phoenix was individually very good, and then Altic Adrian just came off of like a pretty good split. Um, so we were kind of abusing like Callista Tom Kench as a thing in draft like pretty regularly on that team, from what I remember. I think we got it on stage like too often. And so we were just stomping everything. And we were effectively like the second place team. We just their old format. We never played 100 Thieves, so they went to finals and got beat up by TL. And then we played Clutch Gaming in the third, fourth match in Miami. Um, and then I left after that. Like right at the end of that next split, I left Echo Fox. Um, the org was a mess. Like obviously stuff ended up coming out like afterwards about other Echo Fox drama, but that org was like a complete dumpster fire, honestly, internally. And I was like really shocked at some of the things that were happening in my in my experience.
What kind of stuff was happening,
And
if
I
you don't
just like
mind? If you don't mind
CDA'd.
sharing.
Well, probably the biggest thing was so Miami is my first event that we go to, right? Awesome. Miami's like a huge party city, I guess. I don't really go out and party, so I didn't give a shit. I was just there to compete. So we take the
I Will
Echo Fox
Dominate was
private
probably
jet.
loving it
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe it was there. It's getting crazy.
on a boat with
I
Tony Montana.
yeah. So like we take the private jet, like
Yeah,
life is
of
good. We're in a
course.
fucking private jet with Rick Fox, just throwing money at everything because we're winning. Um, and as we're landing, like I get a message from Riot in like our like group chat thing that they have, just like, hey, we can't get in touch with your manager. Um, we need you to be the point of contact because we have no clue where this guy is. Um, which is crazy. Like our manager ends up showing up later. The guy's clearly been like partying, like he's out of it. Um, I'm just like, fuck, this is just so stupid that this is like happening. Like Echo Fox, this is our first time like making it to anything, and this is what's going on. Like, I'm having to be a manager for the event, and so like I reported this internally, because all of our coaches had like a lot of issues with things that were just happening. Just like, hey man, I don't know what to do. Like I spoke to Rick, which Rick was great to talk to about it, but he was more of like the face of the org, not really like a day to day guy that's there. Um, So I brought the concerns. He said, "Yeah, send this to me in like an email with like what's happened, with like what you guys have like documented as problems." And so I did. Um, and then I ended up like I don't remember the role of the guy at the time who like came and spoke to me. He basically said, "If you ever do something like that again, like you're fired. Like don't do this."
Like snitching.
Just- yeah, effectively, just like I shouldn't like I guess rat out this type of thing. And I was just like, okay,
Damn. Okay.
uh, that's just like ill. And then I told them like, look, I don't have it in me to work here. And I put in my 2 weeks and I just like helped offboard everything to ThinkGuard, who was the assistant coach at the time. Um, yeah, it was just it was like, wow, that is just so stupid that everyone agreed that this was dumb, and then you guys did this. Which I mean, they got the like karma piece of it later because the guy ended up like just leaving the org apparently just in the middle of a season. Like he just disappeared overnight, like unpacked his office from what I heard. That's what I was told by people that still work there. Um, they tried to claim to the team too that like they fired me, the guy who did this, which is just like, okay, bro. Everyone here knows exactly what happened. They were all there for it. We all talked about this every time. It was just a mess. Like it went from that in Miami to we went to like a Korean boot camp and they didn't buy enough flights back like from the boot camp for all the players. So one of our players is just stuck in Korea like an extra day because they had to get another flight later. And it's just like, dude, what are we doing? It's like this is such a mess. Like our boot camp was just a nightmare. Like I remember like as players were like just sitting there, just like I don't know why we're here. Like just like you guys can just leave whenever you like. I don't know what we're doing. Like we didn't get any scrims. It was just solo queue. It was just we were supposed to be doing a team boot camp. It was a mess. Like the org was just like really all over the place. Um, which like blew because that was the first time, like I'm in a pretty successful position potentially, and it just fell apart. Um, there was a lot of like really cool people there that I met. That was nice. Like a lot of the players that were there still keep up with. The coaches that were there still keep up with. Um, I think the only coach I don't keep up with is Peter Zhang, but that's for like obvious reason. That guy's like disappeared off the face of the earth.
Would you
But
if you
even then,
could?
like he was still. I mean, probably not with what he did. I'd probably check to see if he's like okay because clearly he must have been going through some shit to end up in that position. But he was chill. Like I thought he was actually a good coach for the academy team. Um, like Rick Fox was chill. His son was chill, and he worked there.
You
I
shoot
still
hoops
keep
with
up with
Rick,
him. Like
Rick
he's a nice
Fox?
guy. No, never did.
Can you shoot
Never
hoops?
did. I'm pretty ass. There was like an old Golden Guardians clip, by the way, because we used to have like a basketball group that would go out and play. And they did like a slow mo clip of me shooting, and I think the socials girl thought that I made it, and it was like a slow mo of me just completely missing a layup. Um, it's like awesome. I can't shoot hoops at all. I'm fucking bad, bro. I was a football player, like American football
Like the real,
player.
yeah, the real,
Uh,
not the real football, the fake football.
no, the real football. Yeah, yeah.
You ever
But
play a bit of soccer or not? You're not really capable of doing that.
I played as a kid, but I think I got the nice treatment of you're so bad that they just put you on defense, and they're like, "Just stand there, and if the ball comes to you, kick it out of bounds." And so I was like, "Yes, sir, whatever you say."
Yeah,
The
I
ball
was
would
a,
come
I
my
was a,
way,
I
and I'll
was
just
a,
slam that shit out of bounds.
I was a chubby kid, so I was in goal most of the time. Cover more space, innit? It's just the logic,
Nice.
innit, really? I wanted to ask you
Yeah,
because it's quite it is almost kind of, it's quite fitting that this tale took place in Miami at some point as well. It's just kind of like what I look at that period of time in the LCS and franchising is this kind of like almost like Scarface tale of vice, just like money being not necessarily put up the nose, but
yeah,
definitely like, pissed up the wall, so to speak. And just like kind of a
yeah,
vapid, lots of access and resource, but just a lot of ineptitude. Do you think your experience
yeah.
speaks to a general period of franchising, or was this like a rare case of it being extreme?
I don't know if it was really like a franchising thing that did it. I think it was just there was so much money in esports then that people that were down to like just scam the system, I guess, were so common. Um, and then obviously it's like it's young guys like managing a team that just come into money. I'm not shocked that they want to go out and like party and blow their money. Like they have no clue what they're doing because they're kids too.
What stopped
So
you
it's
from
just some
doing
like
that
stupid
then?
shit. I just wasn't that interested in it. I've just wanted to win, to be honest with you, bro. I look back on it and I've like I was joking with the team this year is just like I wish I was one of those people that went out and partied because everyone I know that did that and that was their thing has gone on to have like crazy success either outside of esports or like moving into just other roles like way up. I'm just like, damn,
Like
that was
networking?
clearly the move was to just go get fucked up and just move up. So I missed out. I should have done that. Like, bro, there was this crazy thing on Echo Fox. It was so funny. Like Adrian Ma, middle of scrims, like he obviously didn't give a shit. Like he obviously wanted to win, but he was like full. This is full crypto hype. He would like die, and he had a laptop next to his computer, and he would just start like just checking his shit, just like seeing what's happening. This guy's obviously like doing like day trading of just random coins or something. He's obviously just fucking rich now. Like he's loaded. And I'm like, shit, I should have been on that. I should have had my computer open at the same time. I should have been pausing the game, asking this guy like what trades he's making. I should have been in on this. I'd be rich. I don't know. Maybe I could just dip at this point. I could just have a yacht or something. So I made the wrong decision, I think, in some ways, if I wanted to be rich, caring about, trying really hard and working, but that's whatever. I don't know. It was just never me. I never wanted to go out and, like, party too much or do this stuff. I just wanted to focus on winning because I felt like that was, like, what I should do if I wanted to succeed and what felt, like, good to me.
Do you have
So,
any other kind of crazy examples of people that have gone on to leave esports or maybe work in esports that are just crazy rich now? Or do you not want to blow up people's
um,
spot?
I don't wanna, like, blow up people's spot. The guy who had the Echo Fox thing happen, he's fucking good now. He's chilling. Um, like, I think what happened was he was, like, poached by an investor or something at Echo Fox. That was, like, the story I heard. I don't know if that's true, but it's like, yeah, that guy's set. He's chilling. Um, so many players, like, got out just off of crypto, I think, and just
You
moved
don't even
on.
need to name them. So
They're,
you're
like,
saying there's
good.
a lot of former LCS players that are now like crypto millionaires plus.
A lot of people made money from it, yeah. A lot of people got, like, deep into that because everyone would, like, talk about it together, you know? Like, it would make sense to just like, "Hey, bro, I'm making a lot of money on this. Like, you should get in on it." I had a friend, like, I played Xbox with and I played Call of Duty who's, like, mega millions in crypto now, and he was an LCS fan and, like, recognized me, and he's like, "Oh, shit, it's you, bro. Like, do you remember me? I'm from, like we used to play together Call of Duty," and I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?
You like
Okay."
spare some
And
bands, sir.
he's like, "You gotta get in on this. You should check this out, this type of thing." And I'm like, this was my first experience into crypto because 'cause I've always just thought this shit's just like a huge scam. Um, and he's like, "You should get in on this. Like, I'm running this like coin thing." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, bro." And I got in on it, and then all your money's like 10xing overnight, and I'm like, "This is just ill. Like, what is this? I don't understand. These people are just like printing money for no reason out of nowhere." Um, and so like obviously I realized all of this is just a scam. So I got out of it because I'm like, this just feels dirty as fuck. Like the people are just getting in and losing their money. I was like, damn, that guy's. I see his stories on Instagram all the time. It's just like, wow, he is just living the life right now. Every single night, he is just blowing money. He's at some party. That looks fun. That looks pretty chill, bro. That looks pretty sick. Anyways, I'm here watching League of Legends VODs from my bedroom. Cheers.
I'm here teaching Blabber how to do the Zac clear currently.
Yeah,
I wanted to
yeah,
ask.
different hustles.
I wanted to ask because it's so interesting to me. A lot of what, and you're in a difficult position to answer something like this as someone who works in the LCS, but with someone with a retrospective on it, it sounds to me that the LCS joke has always been in America. It's just this thing of like the joke I always had is you guys would be a lot more successful if you moved the league to Alaska, like or like somewhere like that instead of LA. Because it's just like it seems that so many people involved in the scene are so subservient to Vice because it's like you've got the LA
Yeah,
party scene, you've got EDM festivals. I've seen a few photos over the years of players, coaches at EDM festivals, their jaws swinging like Tarzan, and I don't mean the one who played on AL most recently. It's just like so many people just get like an influencer girlfriend or whatever. It's just like you just live this like life that is so far away from League. From your perspective, as
yeah.
someone that maybe hasn't fallen completely for that vice, how corrupted is the kind of ecosystem by these things in the past or now? Whatever answer is more comfortable for you to give.
I mean, it definitely. I mean, I think you'll find a vice anywhere. Like you'll find something when you're getting that much money as a kid. But yeah, if you're in LA, it's a little easy to fall into everything. So I think it definitely has somewhat of an impact. You're like a 20-year-old kid and you're making like like 500K or something. You don't know what to do with that money, and you're gonna go out and you need a break, and you have a lot of money to spend, and there's a lot of people that know you have money that want to get you to come out and spend that money. It's too easy. It's definitely not a great thing, I think, but you can avoid it in a way too. Like I think it just comes with these guys getting a lot of money and not necessarily having people that um are like older in the scene to kind of like set them straight. But even in traditional sports, you can have like a guy in the NFL who's in like just some shitty city and he's making too much money. He's gonna be able to do whatever he wants. Like you can fly out somewhere for a weekend. You can fly someone else out for a weekend. You can go to like any club and you'll be the richest guy there and you're chilling. Like it'll happen anywhere, but LA is definitely easy access. So,
Have you had a situation like that where you see a player going down that path? And because one of the things that was interesting you spoke about earlier, at least in your time in Echo Fox, one of the personal failures you felt is like not being close to players. Did that change as you
mm.
went on and you got a bit closer with players? Have you ever had to have the experience of watching a player potentially throw this away, kind of stepping in as an older figure in the scene, or has that not quite happened?
I mean, thankfully since then it hasn't really happened. Never really have run into someone losing it. I guess there was actually one. Obviously I'm not gonna like talk about who it
Yeah.
was, but um it's like we did a we did a boot camp in another country one time, and we went out as like a team outing. Um just like a completely non like party team outing, just like went to this thing, and he was getting a lot of attention from women there, and that like think like a switch like triggered in his brain to, oh shit, girls like me. Um and suddenly he's like going on dates all the time. He's going out partying with like other groups of people, and it's like, damn, bro, you really can't do this, man. You gotta tried to like hint enough that like you won't keep a job if you do this in the scene. Like people will talk to each other and they'll like know that you have issues with this if it becomes a problem. I wasn't successful in like helping him out really. Um I didn't really know what to do around that, so I felt bad for that type of thing happening.
And did that
Um
person end up reaping the consequences of that? Or
I mean, in terms of a professional career, yeah, I believe so, yeah. I don't think he's had any more success after that. At least in competition, which is unfortunate.
yeah,
But I don't know what he's doing outside of league either. Like
yeah, of course.
he could be rich on crypto as well, and he's living the life, and maybe it was a really good
I suppose
thing
that
that
is
happened.
the kind of the
So,
additional prong that we've discovered to this kind of three-layered dragon that is the LCS is the
yeah,
potential exit. Not exit scam, but that is what they refer to it sometimes. The exit scam of finding
yeah,
crypto during your LCS career. It's such a unique insight into what it was like back then. Because nowadays it feels like, I mean, I spoke to Dokley yesterday, and I kind of for 3 hours kind of talking to him, and it was so like it was such an emotionally charged conversation for me because it was like this thing of like he's given his whole life for this, and even though I felt at times he was going a bit hard on how he was talking about Sniper, it was like at the core of it he was like, well, fuck, if I had the opportunities you had 10 years ago, then like I would have locked in and grinded this. So it's like
yeah,
it's such a it's so interesting to hear that he was having that experience back then, but then also a lot of people were just getting paid way too much, and then it's just a thing where
yeah,
you kind of just have the exit plausibility because it's an additional side to it. Because so many people speak about, oh, like think about your future, this isn't forever. Some people apparently have carved a future for themselves by kind of a
yeah,
failure of chaos or a success of chaos,
yeah,
for sure. And but that brings us to the end of Echo Fox, and then from Echo Fox is when you go to Golden Guardians in 2019, right? And
yeah,
weirdly, you work with Froggen again.
yeah, yeah. We did work with Froggen again,
And
so
what was it like the
that
second
was cool.
time around?
Um, it was. I don't think it was a good team dynamic. Um, God, on like Echo Fox, obviously, like we didn't have success on that team, but when he came over, this team had a lot more veterans on it. Like our team was Hanser Contracts wasn't really a veteran at that point. Like he's still rookie. Froggen definitely was a rookie, and then Ole. Um Ole and Hanser were both like way more vocal as people. Um so I think it was like harder for him to really work. It was pretty difficult. Like the team setup just wasn't very good. Um but I know it was also like kind of a part of the plan for this was to get all of these players that kind of like fell to the wayside from other teams at the end of off season and pick the pieces from that and look to build a team around that for later. Um, which ended up being like Hanser stayed for us. And initially we were looking at Ole to stay. Um, but yeah, it was tough. It was pretty tough. It wasn't a very good like team environment, to be honest with you. I don't think that was like Froggen's fault at all. I just didn't really know what to do for that team. I ended up benching myself on that team. Like I went to our GM and I told him, like, I don't think I'm like the coach for this team. Like I just don't know how to break through to do this, and I feel like I'm better served working in academy for the next season. And like I think I can build a team that can beat our team out of like rookie players instead. And I would rather do that than like I'm going to coach this team and I have no clue what to do for them. Because our academy team for that first split at GG wasn't good. Like they were a 10th place team in academy, and obviously you're not moving up anyone from a 10th place academy team. So we rebuilt all of that. Thankfully, like our managers were really receptive to it and like respected that.
Yeah, I was
I
going to ask, how
I
did the
did this.
GM react to you? Because it's quite like a big balls on the table kind of move to just be like, hey, listen, demote me. I'm going to build you a better
Yeah,
project. I'll take presumably less money as well.
yeah. I mean, I'm effectively saying like you should fire me from this. Like you should get rid of me. Like I'm not working for this team. Um, So like, yeah, Kamikaze Platypus is in here. He was the Academy GM. That's John, who went on to join CLG Energy. Um, and it was good. Like, we built that team. Our team was solid. We had Darshan, Hard. I don't know if people remember Hard, but Darshan, Hard, Palafox, FBI, Huhi was our team in Academy, which is back then wasn't, I don't know, no one like cared about that team because Huhi's role swapping. FBI is like from Australia, so he obviously must be shit if he's from Australia.
Was this the first time that FBI
Um,
came to an A?
Palafox, it's like whatever. Yeah, this is when he first came over. Um, but we did really well. The team was good. It was nice. Honestly, like it was really solid. The first split, I did not know what to do as a coach for that team. But working in academy, it was really nice. Everyone was very receptive. They're all young guys that were like hungry to learn. We were better than our LCS team. They just couldn't promote, so they ended up moving up our bot lane. Moved FBI, Huhi up to the main team, which I think was a big mistake. I don't know if John will like confirm it in here, but like I said, I think it's a huge mistake to promote them right now because it's just gonna make them like dislike each other and not want to work together because that team environment is horrible in LCS, which did kind of end up happening. Um, but obviously, like they were good players and our team was good.
But you're on Golden Guardians for quite a few years, and it seems like, at least from what I can
Yeah,
understand, a lot of that would have been that at least maybe you're annoyed by that decision, but there's trust placed in you, presumably, to drop down to Academy, rebuild, and,
yeah,
and you stuck it out for quite a while. Would I be fair in saying I'm not entirely familiar with the history of Golden Guardians, but it was 2023, after like a few years of being there, that you really found the success maybe you were looking for, because that's when you qualified for MSI in that year, right?
yeah. We had some success in 2020, and then the team got sold off, and then that team won. And then 2023 was the next time we had success. So it was a grind. Both times it kind of went from a team that's at the complete bottom of the league slowly up to internationals. Just chill.
And talk to me about that experience, because so often when you speak to coaches or I speak to people, it's like they talk about like maybe they've experienced the bottom in their life, but like typically they'll get to the top. But for you, it's like a thing where kind of up until C9, you've never really been on a team where it's like the expectation is to win. So talk to me about the perspective of
Yeah.
being a coach where quite often I'd imagine from a management perspective, if they're being realistic, it's a case of we want to maintain a respectful finish and we want to make playoffs.
Yeah. It was always kind of weird to get used to, but like I knew my role on those teams. I think Golden Guardians was pretty good about setting expectations where it was always a 3-year plan. Like, hey, the first 2 years we don't expect you to be winning, but the third year we really want you to be pushing for like this could be a championship roster or we're like making internationals. So when we were looking at like 2019 was like year 1 of that plan. Obviously not winning, but we made like playoffs. Cool. Like whatever. We made 6th place the first split, and then summer split they made 7th in LCS. Um 2020 changed the roster around. We brought in like rookies from different regions because that was something I was pretty big on. So we brought in like Closer and FBI, like moved them up. So it's from Turkey and Australia, which no one usually gave a shit about those regions. No one wanted to import those. It was basically like a stupid decision to be doing that. Um, that team obviously did like okay for us. Like we did, whatever on the first split. I think that was the golden glue like Keith type of thing, where Keith ended up getting replaced for Huhi middle of the split. Um, and we made playoffs. Like our team was like solid. Like we were okay. And then towards the end of the year was we 3-0 TSM and then we got reverse swept by TSM the next time we played them. Um, it was it was really successful. Like we knew that like okay, we're going to year 3, like we can get our team and this is good. So we were like shifting expectations to um hey, we think we can win next year if we make these changes. Obviously like COVID happened and then everything kind of got like rug pulled, which is a bit tragic. Um had to rebuild again. So like dropping down to the bottom again like fucking sucked for me because I was like I'm waiting 2 years to get to this point knowing that like now I'll get my chance to win. I'll be able to like build this team that I think can win and like push it. I was like, whatever, man. We started over again. The Warriors like kind of recognized that they screwed me over, and they gave me like a 3-year guarantee contract off of that. Where they're just like we trust you. You like you showed that you can do this, like with what you're doing as a coach. Like we're really in belief of it. Um, 2021 was obviously like a nightmare, but like we had no one we could get. The best recruiting strategy is unfortunately not one where you say, "Hey guys, we have no money, join our team." Like it was very publicly that we were just fucking broke. Um, so we just ended up with rookies that were down to take the risk, which was not a smart career decision by them. But I respect that they did it. I think they had the balls to like do that, and I really respected it. There was a lot of players that turned it down, which I understand, but it was cool to work with guys that like believed in themselves to do it regardless of the shit situation.
Was that difficult for you
Um,
to kind of get people to sign up to something that you were like thinking potentially this is bad for your career?
yeah, yeah, it was rough. Like I mean, I also set the expectation when we spoke to people. Like this was like Niles coming in and Iconic, and these guys obviously like they're not names that are around really anymore. And like Niles is around as a coach for Maryville, but that was it. It's like, hey, we're not expecting to win. This team is not expect like you need to come in and know that like you're going to lose games, and it's okay. Like it's okay for you to lose. Um, but like we'll have like these metrics of progress for you that we want you to hit. But it's okay. It's okay to lose. You just need to not go in like scared of the fucking game where you're just getting nothing from it because you're trying too hard not to lose.
You
Um,
you seem to
so
me
the environment was good. It was just rough.
You seem to me to be one of the rare people in esports that, and this is going to come across as glazed somewhat, but I'm not often that nice to you, so it'll be okay. You seem to me to be someone that has kind of absorbed themselves and somehow managed to be one of the rare people in esports that has like absorbed the corporate jargon and like you've become that company man, like you've corporatized yourself in a way that in no way am I implying that your authenticity has been compromised in any way. But I get the
Yeah,
impression that whilst you're at Golden Guardians, part of the way in which you're able to continue and get the 3-year contract is presumably you became a lot better at speaking to some of these, backroom people. Um,
yeah.
were you always quite social, or do you feel like because we talked a lot during this interview about maturity and growing up. It seems like maybe this period of time in your life was a time where you really put your big boy pants on, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a big part of it. I mean, I think me seeing the like failures of what happened on Echo Fox on like the management side made me want to like I don't want my manager to do this. Like I think this is like pathetic when it comes to professionalism. So I want to, you know, make sure that I'm fulfilling what I expect from someone in that position. So yeah, when I spoke to the Warriors, like, I was pretty straight up. Like I don't care. Like I'm here to do my job that you guys like expect of me. So like if you give me expectations, I will do my job to do that. If you want like a 3-year plan for this, and the first 2 years you're not expecting to win, cool. Like I will do my job with that. I'm not going to sit here and throw a bitch fit because you're not going to go buy Chovy or Faker this year. Like you're not going to go spend out. That's fine. I understand the realities of um, how budget works and where that puts us in the league. So that was fine. And I don't know, I guess they respected that. Like I was confident that as long as I'm doing my job as a coach, even if we're getting sixth place, like I'm gonna keep my job because this is the expectation they set as an org is like we're gonna be here. I just needed to prove that I'm doing a good job, and like the players obviously like vouching that I'm doing a good job as a coach was extremely helpful. Um, but yeah, I mean, it helped with my professionalism talking to those people. I was pretty regular in those conversations, which was nice. It helped me a lot.
One of the things that we touched on, the tweet that goes live has a very famous reference to the Sopranos, and I mean, you're a man of bold quality. Obviously, I've been criticized during this interview for not showing off my own bold quality.
Uh-huh.
It is because I haven't shaved the sides, so like I look rather like Homer Simpson at this juncture. But in The Sopranos,
Yeah.
great quote when he's speaking to his therapist, like King Midas in reverse, everything I touch turns to shit. And you are someone that has been cursed with an almost. Are you familiar with the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner? It's a very famous
No.
poem. Very famous poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and basically tells the story of these sailors who famously the albatross is like the symbol in maritime culture of if you kill an albatross, bad things will happen to you. So in this story, the sailor kills an albatross and he begins to wear it around his neck, and it's like this tragedy that follows him. And it feels like throughout your career you've been cursed with this black mark of whatever org you go to ends up finding themselves in financial denouement, destruction,
Yeah.
controversy, or whatever. What do you owe that to? Do you have family that are kind of practicing Santeria or like voodoo? Do you come from a place of mystical darkness, or what do you equate this to?
Um, I don't know. I joke about it a lot. I think I put some of it to like it's kind of like karma for what we talked about earlier for me being like really entitled as a
Hmm.
kid. It's like my payback for this because I felt like I deserved all this shit. Now I got to go through the slums to get what I like want from this and like get a win. I don't know. It's just unlucky. I think I'm also it was just down to like work in places that I knew um could fall apart. Um Echo Fox was like an outlier in that. That was I didn't think that they would fall apart. But when I'm working in like tier 2 and other regions, obviously I know at any point this could just blow up. Like this is not financially sound at all. Golden Guardians is like a double 10th place team. It's just like yeah, no one probably wants to join that team. That looks like shit. Um so I think when you join places that are like that, you're also opening yourself up to a little bit more risk, which is also partially why I ended up on C9 because I was like, I need to go somewhere that is not going to go away, man, because I'm tired of my team just disappearing at random. So
I want to get onto that, but I wanted to ask the question of it's interesting thing where if you're on this if you have this 10th place team for Golden Guardians, and even neglecting the split where you had to get rookies strictly, but like in during any off season, how do you as the because presumably you're one of the people that's like leading player talks and like having to speak to players, like how do you go about the process of like convincing someone? Because I can imagine it being like quite a embarrassing thing to have to do. You kind of just have to like Disneyfy yourself a bit and just like be like the doorman at like the Ritz hotels, be like, listen, it might not look like much, but it's great here. Talk to me about that kind of that process of convincing players to come to an org that isn't the best, so to speak.
yeah, so like looking on like the recruiting end at GG, what you're meaning?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so thankfully we always had like really good vouching about the coaches, so that helped. Um, like word spreads pretty like easily amongst teams. Like if you're a bad coach, it's usually like found out pretty fast and you get like booted from the scene. Or like you're it's really hard for you to get somewhere. Same for like management. Like if you're a shit player to work with, everyone ends up finding out like, yeah, this guy's a prick. I don't want to work with him. Um, so like word of mouth was always like pretty positive. Um, Thankfully, like the coaches I worked with too at GG were all also really good. So we just kind of had like an easy sell point there. Working with the Warriors was also its own like perk. To be honest, it was kind of cool as like a thing. Like that you get to come see like NBA games. Like they fly us out for this, so we can just go watch the Warriors at any point if you really want to. Was good. When I moved up to the GM role, we had like a new office as well. The new office was fucking sick. Shopify has that office now, so cheers to them. Um, that office was insane. It was really good. So it's just like, yeah, our team's pretty solid. Like we have good coaches. We have a good like infrastructure. Like players usually like working here. Um, and here's our office, by the way. Just give you like a little tour of it. Um, it's it wasn't too bad. I never
Yeah,
really had to talk about like, yeah, we failed because of this, blah blah blah. Like people usually wouldn't ask that type of
yeah.
thing.
I've
Um,
dressed it up horribly.
so.
You've made a fool of me. Apparently, it was way easier than I
It
thought.
wasn't too bad to be honest. Also, like when it's 2023, when you um, I don't know, I feel like people liked River, so that was easy. That was easy to kind of recruit around. People wanted to work with him,
How did you come
so
about? Because was that the
easy
first
shit.
time he came to NA? Were you the first team to acquire River, or was he at somewhere before?
No, he was on Dig. Like, Dig sold River. Um, I was pretty big
Diggers, to be
on.
fair, Diggers sold a lot of things up the river over the years. So,
Yeah, like, bro, I don't know what the hell they were doing, like getting rid of River. Um, but I guess it was a way to make money for them, which is chill.
was it a lot of money?
Uh, I don't think they care if I say it. It's like 500K. So it was like
Woo!
in that year,
Is that a
like it's
lot?
still a
Give me
good amount, obviously.
give me context. I don't really know how much players are worth. Like,
It's still a good amount, obviously, but like that was still in the everybody's just fucking rich era. So like it didn't hit the org's bottom line as bad. Right now, if you had 500K, that's like a crazy buyout. That's like insane.
yeah, that's the kind of
But it
buyout
was
that
like
like
a
will have Sam Matthews begging on his knees. Like,
yeah, but it was like it was pretty sizable, but not like a holy shit blockbuster. Because I mean, there was like the $1.3 million buyout for like Palafox and a couple of others that like C9 had at some point. You know, like that was
is that
like some
public?
crazy thing that was reported. Yeah, there was like a reported thing that was like a was that the like Vulcan one? I don't know. It was from some C9 player, bro.
Would you rather buy
But like that's what
Palafox? Would you
buyouts were
rather buy
like.
Palafox for a mansion?
I'm pretty sure it was multiple players, but it was like Palafox was the like the big name from it. Maybe Vulcan was in it. I don't fucking remember. Um, but like buyouts were massive back then, so I don't know. To me, it's like we should do this. This
What's
just
like
makes
the
so much
biggest?
sense.
What's
Why
the
the fuck
biggest
aren't we
buyout
doing
you've
it?
ever seen, or like biggest sale you've ever seen of a player?
That 1.3 million one.
At 1.3
That was
million.
that one was pretty insane. I hope I'm remembering the number right. I'm probably gonna get like called out for being a moron, and it's like
Yeah,
I don't know, 300K or some shit.
it's
Let's
not like
1.3 million trade LCS C9. Yep, didn't find it when Vulcan to Cloud9. Inside the trade that defined the 2019 LCS offseason. This was a couple years before.
yeah.
You can find this on ESPN.com from Jacob Wolf. Cheers.
Cheers,
Yeah,
Jacob.
a lot of money.
Miss you.
Vulcan for 1.5 million. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh, it was
fucking
C9
hell.
buying Vulcan. Jesus.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Jack was slinging money back then. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. It was a lot. Obviously, like 500K is still a good amount of money, but
But you got River in,
there
and
was some
he he was
aspiration.
a big part of why people wanted to come and play for you, because obviously, presumably,
Yeah,
even though he cost quite a bit of money, it was he was a pretty good player.
yeah. River's pretty good. That was a massive like improvement to just off season for us, like team building. It opened up like a Korean mid jungle. It was like obviously pretty solid to have. They can speak to each other. That's good. And then with who he, like our support jungle mid all spoke Korean, so it was easy to like acclimate.
Would I be right in remembering at this time,
With
by the
them.
time the team that made it to MSI, you weren't necessarily a coach, you had a different role, didn't you?
Yeah, I was GM at that point. 2023, I had moved into the GM role.
What prompted
After
that? Why did you
2022,
want to be
they
a
moved on.
GM rather than? Because you've been D1 most of your life, so it's quite a rarity for you to be GM.
Yeah, cheers, man. That was really good. That was a really funny joke. Thank you. Um, I again after the Echo Fox thing, like I low key I wanted to be a manager because I was so pissed at how just stupid that situation was. But you don't really have openings for that, and I enjoyed coaching. Um, but as a manager, it's more like crossover to non esports world. Like it gives me like a pathway like out of it too, like just better work experience, and I can see like more parts of like how the industry works and just how a business works instead of just coaching players all day. Um, I yeah, I just as soon as that spot opened, I was like, yeah, I want this. Like I'm gonna apply for this job. I spoke to Hunter, who was the head of esports at the time. Like, yeah, I'm gonna apply for this job. Really like this. I think I could do it. Um, I also believed in our coaches at the time. Like, Spooks was one of the assistant coaches at GG. He's obviously like done pretty well for himself after Golden Guardians. Like I knew he was good enough to be a head coach, so I was like, I think I would be a good manager. Um, this guy can do the job. I don't see why we shouldn't just do this instead of getting some random person at a manager role that might just be complete shit.
Seems like quite a consistent theme that we've spoken about and in your career where you're quite willing to move out of the way to let success breathe if you see yourself better
Yeah.
suited for another role. Where does that quality come from?
Um, I don't know. I think it's just again, I think I'm pretty direct with myself about what I think I'm ready for and like what I think I can do. Um, and so I think I can kind of recognize that in other people as well. Like at least for coaching, I feel like I have a good idea if a guy's like a good coach or not, or has the ability to be a good coach. And shit, it's hard to get a job, so I'd rather like give the opportunity for that guy to get a job than like screw him over and keep him in like a academy position or something when he deserves better if I have the opportunity to like move up and make space for it. Obviously, I'm not going to screw myself over if I think that I'm going to have nothing if I just fire myself or like move myself out. I'm not going to do that because that's dumb.
That's just
But if I have a slot that I
self-flagellation at
think
that
like
point.
works for me, yeah, that would just be stupid. But if I have a spot I can move into and there's like good people to take that, like I would want to enable people to do what's good about them. I think as a coach, you should be like kind of as a focus. Your job is enabling people to do what they're good at. Um, so I think you have to naturally be able to see that and enable people.
For sure. And then you obviously you have the split where you are a GM. Talk to me about being a GM because you've kind of been on a team where you talked about earlier speaking to some of the stats guys, speaking to the GMs, speaking to those kind of figures, and it's like you're in that role. Presumably, as a fan
Yeah.
of sports growing up as well, must have had this big moment where like I'm gonna try not to do a Jerry Krause here. Like I'm gonna try and be like a proper like, just like make the serious franchise moves that like drags this team out of the dirt. Talk to me about those early days, like making the wheeler dealers. What was the art of the deal for Nicholas Smith in those years?
Well, I honestly went in as like a student to it. Um, I was just like, I don't know anything about this process with it. Um, and the Warriors knew that when they put me in the role. It's just like, I don't know how the visa situation works for you guys. I don't know how you handle your budgeting. So the start was for me just learning like how their system works, how to go in and like buy something via, the programs they used. I couldn't just show up with like a credit card and, buy this and awesome, it's done. I'd have to like go through their system and their processes. Um, and Jiyun, who was the assistant GM to me, she had already been there. Um, like managing, working with the team for like she was there before me at Golden Guardian. She was a translator when I showed up to like help consult in 2018 at the very end and then had moved up into management. And she knew everything about how it worked. Like she was a complete superstar at all of it. Like she was so good. Um so at the beginning, honestly, like she was running the team and I was just mainly working on the roster. Like that was really it for me. And when it came to roster building, I was just really focused on one, we had worked with like NA mids the entire time I was there, and I was just like, okay, man, it's always been tough. So maybe I'm contributing to the problem. I was like, let's import mid for our Korean jungle, and let's make this happen. Let's find a good, like strong individual talent from another region. Because I just don't have faith in the NA mids that are there right now. And like create a good team off of that. Because I felt like our top laner was solid. I really like Stixay for what he like brought to the team environment. He was also just a solid player. Um, And then I don't remember if we had Huhi on the team. We didn't. We had Ole. But Huhi was an option and Ole was an option. There's like two guys sitting there. It's like, okay, both guys speak Korean, obviously, and they're like good to work with. So I'd love to work with either of them. Huhi ended up being the like better option for us. So we went with him, and it's like, cool. Our support jungle speaks the same language, so if there's any like language barrier problem, like these guys will be able to work it out on their own. Our Korean mid laner now has like a majority of players on the team that can actually speak to him, so he shouldn't feel like left out. Our manager Jiun speaks Korean, so she can also help out with anything. Um, just like making sure that everyone would feel like at home with where they're at was pretty important to me, while keeping up the individual talent piece. I didn't want to have a team where you have like I don't know, you have a mid laner that's from Korea, you have a support that's like from Europe or something, and then the rest are NA players, and it's just like a complete like clusterfuck when it comes to culture, and you have to like
Oh, so you mean like
rebuild
you
all
kind
this
of have
stuff.
like you kind of have on C9 or?
Is it like that? I don't think it's like that really. I mean, yeah, our team is like so. We have Thanatos is the Korean, and then okay, is our mid laner announced yet? I don't think I can announce our mid. Are you trying to like
No, don't
sneak one
worry.
in there on me?
No,
Okay.
no, no.
Sven is fucking American at this point. Phil is like
Listen,
American. Canada's American.
he's not American.
Blaber's
Don't
American.
be horrible.
He's fucking American, bro. They all work together well. Um, they fit together. I don't want to bring in some like random people from out of nowhere. It just makes no
I
sense.
wanted to,
And then
I
it's a
wanted to,
culture clash, and it's just fucked up.
I wanted to ask, like, when you're making this decision to import a Korean mid, do you not feel kind of like the
Yeah,
collective, like, unconscious ghost, like, screaming out in agony of like every GM that had like made that decision to import before? Because historically, like, I mean, even in the teams you're at, you arrive at teams with imports that maybe you didn't get on well with, or like so many teams have just
yeah,
had these imports, and like a lot of people attribute the fall of the LCS or like the downfall of the LCS to like excessive imports, mass
yeah.
salaries, bad scouting. How did you feel like you were doing different? Because it felt like you just pushed the panic button that they did, no? Just to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how that would be the like pull from it. Like, I mean, I'm sure some of it is just a bit of like PTSD for me. Of I literally only worked as a head coach for um NA mids and Froggen. And I was kind of used to like the Korean mids were just fucking OP. Like on every team, they were just so strong and like hard to win against. Um, so there was some level of bias there of like I want to have a really strong mid jungle combo because I feel like it's just too OP for the game. Um, I don't think it was really like a panic button. I just felt like it was the best course of action for us for success. To be honest, like it would just make more sense than either giving a Blaze Olive another year, which his contract like wasn't good for the org, so it wouldn't have made sense to do budget wise, anyways, or bringing up like another NA mid because Blaze Olive was doing better than a lot of them at the time. It just didn't make sense to really do. There was no one that we really wanted to like go after
How did you land
for
on
that
Gory?
for the risk. We had a couple different options. So
Oh, I want to hear
there was
them.
yeah, there was like Pull Bay and Quid were two people that we were going after. Quid ended up turning us down. The reasoning that we were told was like his like family didn't really like want him to go, as I think it was. Ultimately, like he just didn't want to make the move to
He
the
just thought
LCS.
you thought you fellas were trash.
He's probably just like these guys are shit. I don't want to
You
go to that
fellas were
team.
trash. He
But
thought
because
you guys were
he
so
joined the
bad. He
Hundred
said
Thieves.
you guys were so
Yeah,
bad. His mum said, "No, I can't come out and play."
yeah, yeah. Mom said I can't come. Sorry, guys. He yeah, he joined the Hundred Thieves middle of the year. So when I saw that, it's just like okay, fucking okay, bro. Like
Yeah.
that's chill. Um, those are like the big hits we were really going after for it. Gory was like obviously one of the other options for us. Um, just looking at people, just kind of like trusted the coaches too. Like every off season, I don't know how much like people know about it, but you'll get all the Korean agents come out. They send you a list with like a slideshow of like every player that they represent. So you get
Yeah.
like a little profile of them. Here's this guy. Here's where he plays. Here's his LP. Please sign him.
And
This
they
type of
and then
thing goes
they
through.
lie that he like they don't lie, but they say that they speak slightly better English than they do every time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually how it goes in a lot of places. So you check to see like can this guy understand me when I talk to him, or is there going to be a language like barrier there that we have to work on? So we went through like all of that list, trusted what the coaches like too. Um, like Pullbay, Quid, and Gory were like the top three that we really wanted to go after. And yeah, Gory just ended up being the one that worked for us. So it was cool. It worked out. Like it was a pretty solid setup. Obviously, like we fumbled towards the end of the year, um, but it was still good. We still made it to the like fake worlds. We might have gotten kicked out really fast from that, but we still showed up to Korea, so that was chill. I still
What,
don't count it as a world's appearance, but it was chill.
what was it like making it to that MSI though and playing at it? Because a lot of like stories on that roster, like obviously I remember speaking to Stixie at the time, like he'd like kind of struggled his way down in academy, like, and it was a real big deal that he'd managed to work his way back and major redemption, making it to that tournament. Licorice Shimmer similarly had like obviously like reached mega high highs and kind of like was his first time like finding a resurgence in form off like a major dip for a few years. So talk to me about that
Yeah.
experience of being in that tournament and going. I mean, you didn't do like amazingly well, but I remember like Licorice, for example, did like really well into some top laners.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we viewed it as a success still. Like we very handedly beat every um like minor region team that showed up. Like we went through that with no struggle. Um which obviously now has been like more of a difficult thing. Like teams are struggling at that neck. So we were happy with it. Um I mean, going into it, we kind of knew too. This is like going to be a learning experience because I hadn't been to an international event outside of Rift Rivals, which is like a fake international. Jiyun hadn't as well. So we're gonna figure out a lot of what's happening there as like coaches and managers of what we need to do different and like how things work. So really, just look at it as like a learning experience to use for the future. Um, which it was good for that. Like we had some pretty good um takeaways of like what we needed to do different, like logistically as managers, where we weren't preparing them like well enough for things. Um, which is like really it's like mundane stuff, but it's things that you can maybe just like slip up and forget about. So I don't know. It was good. I mean, I think it was valuable for our coaches, especially because Spooks and Choose. It was the first international like tournament that wasn't Australia related, where they weren't competing as players. That was competing as coaches. So it's cool. I think it was mainly important for those guys and a little bit for us.
Before we close the chapter on sort of this period of time, Golden Guardians and whatnot, and sort of pre-LCS, all of that period of time, I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of, if you can recollect any of the craziest stories, funny stories, anecdotes that have occurred in that time that maybe you might have forgotten to mention or didn't come up in conversation.
Um, I think Golden Guardians had the least amount of like funny funny things that happened. Really, uh, there's it was the most normal experience on an org ever, outside of the fact that our rosters got sold off twice. Um, there's like nothing exciting about it other than that, where we just got kind of like
It can be anything from
blindsided.
Golden Guardians all the way back to 2015, 2016. There's kind of this entire chapter I wanted to, before we move on, because we'll start talking about the C9
Yeah.
stuff now. If there's any
Do you know
story,
the Do you know the Doctor Strange like story? Like that was kind of
no,
like
I
a
don't.
meme this year, popped up with like Doctor Strange shit happening. Doctor Strange originated on Golden Guardians from Olay in 2022. There was a team fight where I think we were versus TSM. So TSM was like one of the worst teams in the league at that point. Um, this was that like the Peter Zhang roster thing that happened, the drama around that roster. Um, we Nar ult their whole team into a wall, and I think Rumble ulti. No, it couldn't be Rumble ulti was there. Fuck, there was some like it was Jinx ulti. Nar ulti into Jinx ulti into Corky package, and a Blaze Olive like packaged all of the team like as they got Nar ulted over the wall, so the Jinx ulti missed, and then we got like aced and lost the fight, but the game was like over. And Ole was like really tilted, and it was just like a funny like one off. He's just like, this is like fucking Doctor Strange moment where we just go through time and find like one universe where we somehow lose this fucking game. Is this play? Is like this is the one thing you just needed to not do, and somehow this is what happened. And then he just locked in the rest of that split with just call every play like, ah, it's fucking Doctor Strange. It was so stupid, but it's just kind of like carried on in some way where players are getting called like Doctor Strange this year. Just kind of random that like kept up.
Who's using that this year?
Uh, our team was calling some players Doctor Strange. I won't say who because it's fucked up, but it's pretty common. It's a pretty common nickname for favorite players. You
Favorite
know,
players, loved players,
yep.
respected players.
Respected players in the league are yep. That's what it was.
Absolutely. And I suppose that brings us to the C9 period. And talk to us how you managed to get on C9, because at least ostensibly, a lot of people would look at your CV and maybe they wouldn't have the deep veneration and respect for you that I do, and that we've explored during this interview. I think a lot of people, when that news was announced, was like, they're signing who? Who's coming to C9? So
Yeah.
how did you get that job, and how did that go about?
So it started in after Golden Guardians died. I reached out to Jack saying that I had interest in working at C9 if there were like any opportunities. Just kind of doing the usual, hey bro, I'm unemployed. Let me just do the rounds and see who I'm interested with.
LinkedIn or
So I reached
Twitter?
out to the
What are we talking about?
on Twitter. Twitter. I will not send someone a message on LinkedIn. There's no way anyone reads that. Um, and so I reached out to the teams that I felt like would stay in the league because again, I just didn't want to be on a team that was gonna like blow up randomly and disappear again. Um, he told me they didn't have any like opportunities for this year. Maybe something in the middle of the year, but it would be more likely a 2025 decision. Um, so that was chill with me. I was down to wait. I was still in my like GG guarantee, so I just kind of had the whole year to like do whatever. I was literally working for free for the entire year. My contract had like an
Yeah, you had like a
NDA.
whole thing where you were like helping out TSG for a while, I remember.
Yeah, and then I did INT. So like my contract worked where if I got paid, I don't remember the specifics of it. This is just what I went through talking with the lawyer. Was if I got paid a certain amount of money, or I got paid like any money, it would come out of my guarantee from the Warriors. So there was no like incentive for me to be working, to be honest, because I would work and I would get paid the same as if I didn't work, no matter what I did. Um, but I was just like, I need to stay active in the league in some way, or it's probably too hard to find a job. So I did DSG, IMT, and then obviously as soon as IMT was over, um, I hit up Jack again. But then I also went to Dig. I offered to help them out. See, um, so I was working with this was Licorice. Mainly reached out because I knew Licorice and Mabry on that team, who was the coach at the time, and just offered to help. And it was Licorice, Spica, knew Spica pretty well, Jensen, and then Zven Isles. So I didn't know Jensen, Zven Isles like super well. But I joined that team, helped out a little bit. Didn't do like too much, honestly, but just gave my perspective where I felt like it was relevant. Tried to help out a little bit, and um, yeah, I kind of got from what I like understand at least. Like Ben recommended to C9 when he was getting like looked at from them. That like I could be a good option as an assistant coach. Um, and Jack had already like had some sort of interest in me prior to that, and from talking around the league, had heard like positive things. So they just reached out to me and yeah, made it happen. Talked to Reapered like shortly after, and they just brought me into the team.
And obviously
So
that must
it was
have,
a pretty easy process.
maybe I'm not assuming, but was that like, how did that feel for you, like emotionally? Because it's like, Corner Guys is obviously great, but like it's, C9 is like such a storied and legacied org and such success. And as we kind of aforementioned, this is the first time you've gone to an org where it's like, oh, not only is the expectation to win here, but potentially the budget is there to win and the structure is there to
Yeah,
win in a even more severe way than it sounds like it was at GG. It sounds like there was a good structure at GB, but C9 seems like a whole different beast.
yeah. I mean, it was honestly kind of like a scary decision for me at first, um, because I had a job for the Warriors, so I could have just like just fucked off and done that instead.
What would
Just
you have done
went to
something
like
that
a normal
was
life.
outside of esports, or what would you have done there?
Yeah, it would have been a sales job initially. They didn't have something open yet on the like biz dev section, which is what I was like working towards like wanting to do with them. But they were in a whole like setup of just like downsizing what they're doing. So they didn't have a spot, but I could get a job in sales and like work with them for a little bit until something opened up. But yeah, I didn't really want to go that route. I don't think I would be very good at sales if I'm being honest with you. So I didn't want to like waste my time doing that just for the off chance that I could, get my way into position there just because I knew like the like higher ups. So yeah, just it was just a risk. It was just a risk to kind of turn that away because I don't know if I can just go back to the wars and be like, hey, I'm done with esports. Hire me. I don't know. I've got good connections there, but I don't know if they're gonna care about me the same way 4 years from now or 5 years from now. Like it could be different. Um, but it was exciting too. Obviously, like there's there's a better chance to win when you're on a team like C9, TL, these types of orgs because they're probably pushing more towards trying to win. So that's what I was expecting coming in. But that's what's gonna happen.
And give us kind of an insight into who Jack is as a person, because I feel like he's one of these people where it's quite even more so in Europe. It's like a thing. I mean, famously, we won't get into it, some of the more front-facing European owners, but in there it seems like consistently, I mean, you have like Reggie, Steve, Jack, way more public-facing CEOs, even like Rick Fox that you were on a team with. Um,
Yeah.
Give us an insight into who Jack is as a person, because to me, he's always just like, he always just like looks like he's been like chopping logs, like in the back garden or something. He kind of just, he has a very like, from my limited understanding of America, like a very like Dakota kind of like Midwest kind of like outback log cabin look to him. But that's
Mhm.
obviously from a very semiotically small cultural framework. So I'm wondering, in your
Yeah.
American mind, if you could tell us a little bit about who Jack is as a person and the house that Jack built.
Um, yeah, I mean, Jack is, at least from the owner side, like one of the most passionate people I've worked with about it. Like you can tell, like he actually gives a shit about the team and like really wants it to succeed. Like you can tell the team is like his baby. Like this is his thing that he wants to like build and um just see when he he's always there for like our workouts and stuff. Like I think of the teams, he's probably putting like most of his interest in the league because this was his like start. So we see him all the time. Like I'll see Jack every morning at workouts. He's always asking questions like, you have a bad day of scrims or something. He might ask what's going on, like what are we doing about this? He's there at scrims sometimes too, just watching, looking in. So he's
Does that ever get annoying?
yeah, there's always some level of annoyance when, your boss is in the room. That's how it goes. Like when I was a GM, I would make sure I'm not in the room with the coaches just because I could realize it would be like, it can be like threatening, like aura, like, hey, if you have like a bad argument, like I might get fired, bro. Like even if that's not the case, you kind of think that in the back of your head. Um, but it's chill. Like I don't really mind it. Um,
What do you do? What do you
but
do when he
it's
asks you?
definitely funny.
What did he do if he asks you like, well, why are we losing? Like, does he like understand? Like, if you tell him, like, how do you tell him?
I think he understands like enough. Like obviously, you never expect the owners to have the same like game understanding to really like get what's happening, but he's watched the game long enough. Like he gets the grand scheme of things. Like he can understand. So when you talk to him about it, like it's usually pretty easy to explain like what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, Kamikaze Platypus said, I kicked him out of the room when I was his boss. I did. I told him to leave.
That was on Golden Guardians?
Yeah, I was on Golden Guardians.
Fair enough. You got to do what you got
Didn't
to
want him
do.
sitting in the room. Yeah.
So Jack, you kind of is very present, and there's morning workouts. We've heard a lot of talk of the systems of C9. What are the systems
Yeah.
of C9? Tell us about them as a well-adjusted kind of working man.
Yeah, so the systems I guess are that you wake up and you go to the gym in the morning and you have streaming hours. Um that's kind of it. You just have a specific like gym schedule that you do. That's all.
It's purely as simple as that?
Yeah, that's all I've really noticed from my experience with it. Like you have meetings and stuff, but like you should be doing meetings on every team, I feel like. I don't know. Jack's just more present than like a lot of other owners. That's really it. That's all I've really noticed.
What is he like as a person? I want to like because him being present is all right. Like is a quality
Yeah.
I resent in my father that he wasn't. So props to him, I
Yeah.
suppose. But like, what kind of a person is he? Like, give me an idea into the mind of Jack.
Um he can be pretty like intense. Like Jack's like a pretty intense guy, not in like a bad way. Like
Quite
it's a pretty
common amongst
positive thing.
CEOs, I think, right?
Yeah, it like makes sense. Like I would imagine a guy who's like worked his way to the top is gonna like be like that type of person. So
Like,
I wasn't a huge
is he in the
surprise.
workout, like looking over your shoulder? He's like, push it, man, just push it all the way.
Yeah, I mean Jack usually works out with me, so he's usually going pretty hard and he does like push it.
Okay,
Um
I was joking, but that
so
actually does happen.
no, he does. Like it's good. Like I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean I don't know how else to describe him. Like I don't know him on like a super personal level. Like
Yeah.
there's always that separation of like this is my boss, so I'm not gonna get like too buddy with him. Um but yeah, he cares a lot, he's passionate, he's like a very intense type of person. You can tell when he's like locked in and like wants to do something like an off season, like when Jack is like ready to like pull the trigger on something, like he wants to like get this done like now, like hey, let's figure this out, like I'm ready. Um but It's generally like good qualities in my opinion, so I like it.
Were you involved in any way for any of the kind of the any transfers that have occurred at C9? Like, have you had that moment of coming to Jack and being like, we want to do this, and then seeing his reaction to that, or not really?
No, because our plan this offseason was to keep the same roster.
Yeah.
So no, didn't really have that situation at all.
I
We weren't
suppose
really
what I was
looking
asking
at
is like kind of like I
players.
imagine Jack being the kind of person where like anecdotally, if you were to go to him and you were like, we want to do this, then from what you're saying, it's kind of implied that he's kind of just like reacts to that in a very like driven way and is just kind of going at it. Like he's very much
Hmm.
pushing the same load that you guys are.
Yeah, so when you like look at an off-season move, like Jack will want to know like, so why this guy? Like he wants to like hear your thoughts. Like he obviously wants to give like his own input of like what he thinks and like his gut feeling from like talking to people. Um, but it's mainly just like he wants to like know that you've done your research on it, that you're not just saying like, hey, I want to get this guy, and this is just like, my fucking buddy over here that does this that I know and I want on the team. But yeah, it's I don't know if that's like too uncommon amongst the like endemic people where like I'm sure Steve is pretty similar. I don't know Steve, but from like the vibe I get from how TL works, I assume that's the same way. With TSM, I assume that was also the same type of thing. On the Warriors, they didn't know anything about it, so they would ultimately just kind of have to trust. They would want to hear like the reasonings for it, and then they'd want to see my expectations. But it would mainly be that they hold you accountable to what you say is going to happen rather than like, "Hey, I think this, and this is what I think will happen, and this is what I expect of you." They wanted to know what I would set it at, and give budget like accordingly to those expectations. So
And
it's a bit different, but yeah.
what kind of expectations is Jack setting of you, both we're kind of at the beginning of this year?
So the beginning of this year coming up, like C9
What?
wants to win.
Sorry,
C9 hasn't been to
even in
Worlds,
the
you know.
even in the year that you joined at the beginning of 2025, I believe. So what were the
Yeah.
expectations that were being set?
So for 2025, it actually wasn't around like winning immediately at all. It just wanted to make a Worlds appearance, which obviously is still like a pretty high bar. Um, but didn't care as much about the like first and second split really. We expected that it would be a bit rougher with like Loki coming in, like having a rookie on mid and making a mid change. Um, so yeah, the expectation wasn't like, hey, we need to win now, we need to do this. Um, since the team was all like, it was a new setup again. Even if it was returning players, it was a new setup. Whereas this year is more of like hey, we kind of like know how our team works, so expectations are a bit higher on us. Like we should be immediately like competitive as a top team rather than like building up to that point.
Cool. And obviously, presumably, you weren't involved in the acquisition of Loki, or like at what point did you arrive? Was that kind of deal already done, or
So when I joined, it was basically like I had come to a workout with Jack, and he said like, yeah, we want to get you involved in off season stuff like straight away because we're in the middle of it right now. Um, so they were in the middle of deciding on Zven or like others, which was basically already like set at that point, and then looking at mid lane options. So I got to give my opinion for it.
so were there
Um,
multiple options before Loki was decided upon, and that was still like up in the air when you joined, or was it kind of you were already gearing towards Loki at that point?
yeah, there were multiple different options, but it was ultimately like a Reapered decision. Everyone gave their input, but it's like Reapered will kind of like select.
Would it be
So
possible to
like
know what
he
those
was there
options
talking
are,
to the
or
people in
is
person.
that not possible?
Um, I mean the options. Let me see if I can go back and look if there's like names that are actually like talkable names. Oh no, that channel is gone now. Um, I mean, there's like some names that exist like this offseason that matter. There's like Zinni was there the last offseason, but like he was, he's in a contract, so he's not really an option. Loki was there. Like there's the other mids like Pungyon that's there. Vagar immediately says Saren. I don't remember Saren being on the list. Palafox is on the list to look at. Kind of just the LCKCL gauntlet of people you always look at. You always take a look at them no matter what.
Did you have a look at Zinni? Because
Um,
I recently think that a major psyop invaded the world, where like you just have random people pretending they watch LCKCL, and like I'm sure the Zinni guy
Yes.
is good, and like from all accounts, I've heard people say he's good that I respect, but that's how I
Yeah.
know he's good, so therefore I don't know he's good. I don't make like the authority claim that everyone seems to be
Yeah.
making. Did you watch his VODs? Are you one of the 5 people in the world that's
Yep.
watched Zinni?
Yeah, we watched his VODs. We did watch Zinni's VODs. I do think his VODs last year looked a lot better than this year, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, I watched. I watched Zenny.
How good is he? Like, can you give us an honest opinion? Like,
I think he's got his fair share of weaknesses. I don't know if I agree with the like I don't know, the weird like it feels like people are treating it like he's Chovy or Faker
yeah,
coming
people are
in.
kind of treating like he's
Um,
getting a bit treated like he's a second coming. Like I've been hearing about this guy like he's like the LCKCL King
yeah,
Von. Like,
yeah. Like I don't know. Like he has like positives about him for sure. Like he definitely has a lot of positives, but from the games also saw a lot of question marks in his play. And I mean one of the main things for us is like he doesn't speak English. Um, so it gets a bit hard to like really function as a team when like one guy can't speak. Like Loki had like very rudimentary English coming in, um, and that's like difficult to work with. It's a bit hard, and you have to like get through that struggle. And don't know if we really want to go through that struggle again right now when there's always a risk with picking up a CL player, you know. But like Zenny will be good coming in. He's gonna be good coming in always. Like the CL players never have like an individual issue when they come over generally at all. It's usually pretty plug and play. It's the team aspect that could falter.
with Loki coming in those early days, talk to me about what that was like because you said the English was rudimentary. Presumably, it got better over time. It can be quite hard to like gauge how someone is as a person if you can't communicate with them. So, kind of,
Yeah.
what was your experience and your opinion on Loki and outside of game, firstly, and then obviously go into the in-game stuff.
Yeah. I mean, immediate impression from Loki was just that he was a very shy kid. Like you could tell he was very, very shy. Um Obviously like he can't even like speak to me really at first other than saying hello. Um so I would probably be shy too if I'm speaking to someone in like Korean and I can just say like one phrase and that's it. Um so it was really just figuring out first just ways to like interact and joke around with him because I just wanted him to feel like welcome in the team. One of the first things like our first interaction really outside of just saying hello to each other was like a content piece C9 did where everyone just talked about like they introduced themselves and then they talked about like a first impression thing. And Loki said his first impression of me that like was scary. I was just like, okay, what the fuck, bro? Sure. Um and so I just wanted him to feel like welcome, like I'm chill, like I'm a normal guy. You can talk to me, man. So I got like really close with him over the year. I think like Loki was one of the closest people I was with at the end of the year. So just gradually just kept joking with him more. Just try to talk to him out of the game about stuff that wasn't related to the game, so he would just feel, um, yeah, I don't know, just like at home in any way that he could, or like it's like less scary. I was like taking him to buy like a bike and shit, just
That's really
just
sweet.
dumb stuff like that. Just trying to just help him where I can. I don't think he ever used it really, but it's cheers. I try to do what I can to help him out.
That's super sweet. Um, yeah, I suppose as he kind of opened up from his shell, like what was kind of your make of him as a person? Like, what were the complexities of him if you had to describe him as a person? Because obviously, most people that are shy are a lot more complex than just being shy. There's something there.
Yeah.
What was it to you in becoming friends with him?
I mean, he is like a very shy guy. I think he has a lot of anxiety about giving his like opinion um on things where he's just very very much the type of guy who wants to do what you say first whether he agrees or not and like listen and do it. Um which maybe some of that is like a cultural thing cuz obviously he's really young on the team and everyone's like much older than him and has like a lot of experience in the game, so I think he just trusted everyone with it. But even outside of game, it kinda seemed like that was the case, like, I mean, he's just a kid. We can only connect in, like, some ways really, because there is just, like, a huge, like, gap in terms of age there, where, like, I'm just teaching him, like, English words. that are there. I'm teaching him like how to go around and like do things. David's obviously doing a lot of this too, but I'm just like, hey, bro, you should go to like K Town. You should go hang out here. You should go like out. Like I can teach you how to like get an Uber and stuff and go out there and like how to get around if you want. Um, but he never showed too much like interest in doing that or like seemed like kind of like nervous to do it. Um, so I don't know. I think there was a lot of anxiety there in him as a person, which is not to say that's his whole like personality, but that was like the biggest thing that I noticed. Um, the rest, I mean, he's kind of like any normal kid. He's kind of a shit poster, which is kind of hard to see there, but he would just make like dumb jokes all the time, just make fun of you, and then just like do a dumb smile, like, haha, I got you.
That's
Haha, I
cute.
called
That's
you
cute.
bald. Haha.
What
Type of
kind of
thing.
things was he taking the piss out of people for? Presumably, yeah, like you just said, he's calling you bold. Is that why you thought you were scary initially?
I don't know. Probably just like my voice and that I have tattoos, and that's like a weird thing.
Fair. That makes
Uh,
sense. But
yeah.
what things was he taking the other piss out of the others for?
If he would watch me play League, he would just make fun of me for being shit. So that was good. Um, make fun of me at chess, even though we were both shit at chess. Uh, yeah. Cheers, Vigar. I'm Diamond One. You got me, man. I'm really good. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to like think back different things. Like I don't have specific moments, just kind of like that.
Nothing about like
Uh,
Zven being like a circus freak in terms of being like 7 foot tall, or
no, nothing like that. He would never do that to those types of jokes really to other people. I feel like
he was just because he was more
at
comfortable
least
with
never
you?
that I noticed. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe just that I just didn't notice it. He'd maybe do it while I'm like not at
What
the house and
what
he's
were
like
kind of
hanging
the
out
what
playing
were
with
kind
them.
of the interpersonal dynamics? Because obviously, like you talked about, he's quite like a shy guy. Was Thanatos like
Mhm.
an I don't know what the age like difference is, but are they like in a similar age group, or
They're similar-ish, like enough age group,
did they
but
become quite
Thanatos
did
is
they become
definitely
quite friendly, or are they kind of quite different?
um I mean they were like friendly enough, but I don't think they were like super friends or something. Like they're not like, besties type shit. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like respected each other and would like talk about the game together and obviously can relate a lot easier. Like they would cook food together
That's nice.
just because they're eating the same type of food. Rather than, being like the fat Americans like me and going and getting fast food or something. Um but Thanatos was definitely more of like the like alpha personality, like very confident. I think this is good and I'm gonna do this. Which is the complete opposite of Loki in game. So Thanatos would like call out Loki's mistakes a lot more directly, whereas Loki is like less likely to say like, "Hey, you fucked this up. I think you should do this different."
And did that match his out of game personality as well for Thanatos? Was he quite outgoing out of
Yeah,
game as well?
yeah, yeah. I feel like he is.
How
He's a
did that
pretty outgoing
manifest?
guy.
Because I feel like that's kind of in direct contrast with like coming to a new country, learning the language. Like, how did that kind of manifest? Because it can be quite funny to see someone that's kind of against the odds is still quite extrovert and outgoing.
Well, I don't know what Thanatos was like when he first joined C9.
Fair.
So like he already had like a pretty good
Yeah,
understanding
that's
of
fair.
English by the time I met him. So I think the ability to like be confident about yourself was already there. Um, the biggest thing with them that was like a trouble to get through to know is like Thanatos couldn't understand me at first. Both him and Loki said like I have an accent um, that they can't understand, so it took a little bit for that to be there. But he was still confident despite that. He would always say his opinion like very directly, which was nice
What
to
is
be
this
honest.
story that C9 David is telling about walking home? Like he said walking home back home after scrims because he was scared of walking alone in the dark. Who is this about?
Oh, Loki. Me and Loki would walk back home after scrims together because we're roommates. He lived in the same house as me,
God,
so
he sounds like a very sweet young man.
yes, he's a very kind kid. Like he is a complete sweetheart. He would fucking message me like, "Hey, there's a spider in my room. Please come kill it, please." And I have to go in there and like squish the spider for him, like he's my child or some shit.
That is
It's
so
funny.
that's so adorable.
Yeah, no, he was a very sweet kid.
And how does that
So
in
I'll
how
miss
does it
him.
yeah, of course. Sorry, I don't know if you wanted to say more. I kind of cut you off there
Oh, you're good. I just yeah, I'll miss him. It was nice to work with.
for sure. And how did those kind of those like Loki and Thanatos, because obviously they're the two Koreans on the team. Like, how do they interact with some of the other players on the team? Because it's quite a unique like mix of people. I feel like I have quite a good understanding of like what Vulcan and Sven's personality is. Blaber a little bit less, but
Mm,
Blaber just seems to be like the game comes first rather than the personality. Maybe that's an unfair assessment of him. But
mm.
how does some talk to me about some of these other personalities in the team and how they interact with the Koreans? How it kind of all works.
Yeah, so okay, so like Sven and Vulcan are both like very outgoing, like very direct people. Like if they think what you did was shit, they'll say like, I don't think this is a good play. You should be doing this. You should be doing X or Y. And they'll like call out bullshit if it's there. Very confident, just willing to tell it how it is. Um, I think most of our team is honestly like that. Like Loki was the one outlier, if I'm really looking at it, who was less likely to say his mind and like speak his piece. So that was more so of, especially at the start, Loki would kind of get like railroaded with feedback of he needs to change this, he needs to change that, whereas the others would like go back and forth of like I think this is correct, I think this is correct. Um, so it was just like a different approach um, that I don't think was like very good for him initially. We're just getting so much shit. Like it's good for his development to like know like things he needs to improve on, but I think it was maybe a little hard on his like confidence initially. But that got a lot better through the year, in my opinion.
Was it difficult for you, kind of, because like I would imagine in some ways, obviously he's a friend, but in some ways, like it sounds like I don't know how to say this in a way that isn't just coming off as like a patronizing way for him. But I imagine at
Yeah,
some extent he became like a teacher's pet, like a favorite for you, because it's like he's like this kid is
yeah.
just like such a sweet kid, and he's like telling me to kill all these spiders and whatnot. How does that like work with in terms of like, did you ever have this thing of like Sven, like stop being so hard on him, or like you kind of like watching him like get flamed a little bit, and you're like,
Nah,
leave Loki alone? Like, did that ever really
I mean,
happen?
I contributed to it as well,
Okay,
like where I'm
okay.
giving him feedback a lot of the time, like on individual stuff. So like I recognize that too and try to like tone it down towards it. And I always try to make him feel like it's okay, bro. I always try to like egg out of him like you can just talk back about anything too. But that's easy to say and like hard to like really act on always. Um, but no, it wasn't like he was just getting berated like, "Hey, you're shit. Like this play is bad. This is bad." It was just he had a lot of things he had to improve on. So he when you're not confidently speaking up of like, you go into review and you already say like, "Oh, this is my bad. I should have done this game." Someone's probably going to say, "Loki, you need to be looking and doing this." A lot of our review is like very individual like focused where we talked about um like kind of small things in the game very often. And so, you're making a lot of small mistakes. You're going to pop up in that review a lot. Um, so I think it helped him get better for what it's worth. Just it might have hit his confidence a little bit with wanting to speak up when that was the case. So, but yeah, I don't know. With all the guys working together, Thanatos works in the team just like any other player, in my opinion. He's the fact that he is very confident means he works just like having like another American player on your team. He's going to tell his opinion. Usually with imports, kind of the problem you might run into is that like they'll either stay silent because they don't really know how to like speak their mind on it because obviously it's a second language, and they don't agree with you and they're like maybe upset about it and they're kind of like pissy, or they just they're not confident. They just don't want to speak. Like they just kind of like do whatever you say, but you have no clue what they think about the game. And those two type of things happening are usually pretty bad. Like that's not good for a team environment. But Thanatos isn't like that, so it's pretty nice.
How good is his English now?
I mean, you could just talk to him like this, and he will understand it. So it's pretty solid.
It is
You
kind
can
of
obviously tell
it
like
is
he's
kind of
speaking his second
insane
language, but it's
over the
pretty good.
course of like 2 years. The fact they can like get that, like I did German for like 5 years in school, and I think nowadays I can probably say hello and goodbye, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think immersion and like that, like in the culture, just does so much. Like you just pick up on it a lot. Because like yeah, Loki's English by the end of the year was pretty good. Like again, I could just talk to him like this, and he would understand what I'm saying. Um, so maybe you should have just moved to Germany, bro. You should have just been
Yeah,
there.
fucking good luck with that, man.
Yeah,
Eating shit food every day. No, thank you.
yeah, I wouldn't do the same, so I don't blame
Yeah,
you. But maybe your
well,
German would have been a bit
that's
better.
why you turned down the LCS offer back in the day, mate. You knew you were gonna have to go to Berlin at some point.
Yeah, didn't want to stay in Berlin, so that was the real reason he got there.
Berlin's only good if you like being tied up. That's like the only thing it's good for. Um,
Yeah, good
speaking
to
of,
know. Okay.
hey, not saying anecdotally, other people have told me that. Um, talk to me about Zven a little bit because talked about the connections or whatever. I want to understand him as a person because whenever I've spoken to him, it's always very troll. I resent the idea that you talk him American because I mean, obviously, I'm a European, so when I speak to him, maybe the Europeanness is coming out more. But don't tell me that like Sven has become like one of these like matcha drinking like
Yeah,
LAified people. Like you're saying he's an American now. That's very like disconcerting to hear for me. Talk to me about that.
yeah. I mean, I think maybe our team is just more European than like other NA teams I've been on. Everyone's a lot more direct. Usually, the problem with like the NA versus EU thing is NA teams are less of that. Like, I'm gonna call out your bullshit and be very direct with you all the time, and like you can give it to me blunt, and I won't get pissed off about it. Where our team is like pretty direct and pretty straight to the point. Um, so yeah, I don't know. For Sven, I know I've kind of already like hit on it, but he's just very much he's direct. He'll tell you exactly what he's thinking. He'll tell you how it is. Like, I'm sure you can tell when Sven is tilted. Like
Oh
he'll get a
yeah.
little red, and
Oh, he'll tell
it's
you.
like, all right, this guy's upset. It's there. Yeah, I mean he'll come out and tell you. You can tell when he's pissed. It's the same as me. Like if I'm mad, my face is gonna start getting red because I'm just giga white, and he's just direct. Like you, I guess like he wears his heart on his sleeve, like very directly. He's very passionate about the game, which is nice. Like I think he gets kind of like a bad community rep, and people don't understand why the guy's like still around and like playing because people just think he's just shit because he's older, which never really made too much sense to me. Um, he cares a lot about the game, is playing the game all the time. Is a really good leader for the team too. Like he'll just call out like that we're not doing what we need to do to win. Like this is embarrassing. He's always looking to like talk to people one on one. Like as a coach, like he'll message you like, "Hey, we need to talk about this." And he really takes up that mantle on the team, which is good. And that's like a rare trait for a lot of players. Not a lot of people in the industry are willing to actually like be a leader. They just want to be the guy that everyone like fucking listens to, but they don't want to actually lead.
He's a bit of a wet dream for Jack in that sense then, because it seems like he's exactly the kind of the profile fit that someone like Jack would value in a player, like very willing to buy into the culture and kind of be a leader in that sense. I mean, obviously you've not been at C9 for that long, but from seeing those two interact at times, do you get the impression that there's a close bond there and that might relate explanation as to why Zven has been back so many times in multiple roles?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense to me. I know Jack really likes him and likes the things that he provides to a team outside of just, strictly gameplay. Um, yeah, it makes sense.
And what about Blabber? What's Blabber like as a person? Because I feel like Blabber's a rarity in the sense of he's been around for so long. And lots of people talk about him being like
Yeah.
in NA Go conversations. He's won so much, so successful. He's had his fair amount of criticism over the years as well. I feel like I don't really know anything about him, and that could be a failure on my part. But then again, I actually do more research about players than most people. So, um,
Yeah.
what is he like as a person? He doesn't seem like the most outgoing person or someone that puts himself out there, at least.
Yeah, he doesn't really put himself out there too much, but I wouldn't say he's introverted at all. Um, the guy talks a lot. He's a complete troll. Uh, I guess like you can kind of get a little bit of what Blabber's like from how he is in review. He is another person who will get a lot of shit because everyone sees Blabber like, oh, he did this crazy play and he inted, and so everyone will call that out because it's really easy to see. He'll have some moments like that in scrims too, and everyone will just be like, Blabber, the fuck are you doing? Like this is bad. You shouldn't do this. Like you're too aggressive, etc. Um, and he'll like take that punching bag type role pretty easily. Doesn't doesn't give people grief for it. Just takes it like, yeah, I shouldn't do this. Yeah, this is wrong by me. Like he takes flack really well. Doesn't just rolls with it. Doesn't let it affect him. Doesn't seem to be someone who gets like tilted very easily. There's been a few times through the year that I've seen Blabber tilted, so I've kind of like understood how that works with him now. But it's like really hard to tilt Blabber. I feel like he's a very like, stable person. Um,
What is he like when he's tilted though? Like, how does that manifest?
I mean, it's just like anyway, he just gets angry. Like he'll just get angry, like raise his
Okay,
voice at you,
Buster.
just like I think this
Okay,
is just
Buster.
shit. Like, I don't know. Like, that's really it. He's not the guy who's gonna, like, soft enter your game or, like, run
Yeah,
it
no,
down
of
or
course
something
not.
really,
Of course not.
Um, just clearly gets fucking angry, and it's like, "Alright, Blobber's clearly had a shift in mood. He's upset about something. We should solve this. We should figure out what's going wrong." He keeps pretty low key when he's, like, upset about something. Like, it's like a slow build up for him, so you have to, like, pay attention to him and figure it out, you know? Uh, really nice guy. Really, really cool guy to talk to. I got to see his house. His house is insane. We got food at his place and talking about stuff. And Jesus, that guy has such a nice home. I'm fucking jealous.
Has he got a good like interior design? Has he got like good taste?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a
Okay.
nice interior design in there. He definitely got someone to make that for him. I don't believe that Blabber did it.
You don't
It's
count
real
him as
nice.
someone with good taste?
Like maybe I just don't know enough, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
it
fair.
was all him. But I can't look at Blabber and see him decorating his house that well. Um, but his place is nice. Meanwhile, my place, I got a bed and like 20 boxes. So awesome.
Is this that you've moved into a new house? Is it a C9 house you said?
Yeah, we just moved houses. So
So
that happened
who lives at the C9 house?
yesterday. Right now it's me, Valorant coach, Valorant manager, and the president. So it's an
Donald
interesting little
Trump.
mix.
Donald Trump lives in the C9 house.
Donald Trump is at the house, yeah. His C9's president lives there. It's very, very funny setup.
And is anyone else who's going to be moving in, or is that going to be the setup for most of the year?
That's the setup for this house. So just our staff house. Our living room is full of boxes because it's the merch storage as well. So
Oh
this is my
God.
this is my free rent paradise. This is my perk.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not bad. I got a pretty massive room. Like I have a sink in my room too. So I'm gonna set up like a little mini kitchen in here. So just make it like a studio apartment. You know?
You got to be careful with that. I had a friend called Dylan growing up who had a sink in his room, and he always used to piss in it.
Oh, okay. That's good. Thanks for being vulnerable about that, man.
But it's got nothing to do with me. I was
Appreciate
just
that.
saying the temptation is clearly there because he was actually a man of Christ. His father was the
Okay.
local vicar. He did a lot of baptizings in the area. So even being
Mm,
so close to divinity and being like a child of God, so to speak, clearly the temptations of the sink, or to
yeah.
sink in the piss, or piss in the sink, was clearly an orbital force for him. So I'm just saying, like, you're not necessarily like divined by the cloth, or
Yeah.
anointed in any way. So like perhaps you might fall victim to that temptation as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the insight. I'll ponder that and consider it for
Yeah.
my
Well,
steps moving
the
forward.
good thing with you is if you ponder, you don't need to use an orb. You could just use that, absolute dome of a
Yep.
skull that you've got there.
Yep.
So
There we go.
yeah,
Really good. All right. That's the second bald joke. Good job. The fact that you've kept it at 2 over the course of 2 hours is not bad by you. It's
I'm a
more than an
professional,
hour.
man. I'm a professional. At the end
Not
of the
bad.
day, say what you want about me. I'm a professional.
You are,
You've
yeah.
given us an. Oh, we've forgotten about dear Philippe Laflamme, whatever his name is, the French Canadian. I believe is he Quebecois? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, however you say that. Yeah, he's a French Canadian. Um,
What's it like
so
getting over that hurdle?
what do you mean getting over that hurdle?
I mean, that's not the strongest of starting points.
Yeah, let it out, man. So you think French Canadians are a problem?
Hey man, I didn't
At least
say
that's
that.
the approach you want to take on the stream.
If that's what you want to say, I mean it's a platform, it's open. You can share your opinions.
Mhm.
No, Philip, talk to us about Vulcan. What's he like as a
Yeah.
person? Give us an insight into him.
Okay, him and Zven, I feel like the reason they've worked together really well is because they're basically like the same type of person. Um, Phil does a lot of the like leading for Blabber and kind of like keeping Blabber like reined in as a person. He really likes the game to feel more like controlled and he wants to like suffocate the enemy team. Whereas like Blabber's more the type of guy who wants to kind of like at random, like, oh, I see this opening, I want to like kill. I want to jump on this and take it in the moment. Phil wants to like plan it out and make it so you can't play the
It's
game.
the red versus blue thing.
Um,
I feel like LS is going to join the call at
yeah,
any point.
yeah, and start talking about his colors. Um, so he's a lot more like structured of a person, at least from what I've like gotten from him. Uh, but it's the same, like very direct, very blunt. He feels like you're just blowing smoke up something. Like, he'll just tell you like this is just dumb. I don't agree with this. Like I think we should be doing this instead. Um, Outside of the game, extremely funny guy. As I'm sure you can tell from his Twitter and the like dumb stuff that he'll post. Uh, I get along with Phil really well with that type of thing because I feel like we have a pretty similar sense of humor. Um, So I don't know. He's just a very blunt, straightforward guy. He's a shit poster like half the league players. Fits the C9 brand perfectly, in my opinion, considering that.
What is the C9 brand in your opinion?
I mean, I think it's always kind of stuck there of that like like a sneaky medios type of vibe
Yeah.
with people. Like really liking that thing about C9 and feeling like a group of friends. Like Phil um is that in his own way. Less like extreme to the medios and sneaky extent, but a similar type of vibe with how he'll joke about things.
There's such a, I want to get onto this because it's such an interesting topic, and you would have been at the center of it, and hearing your opinion on it would be so interesting. It felt like this year was kind of the clash of approaches between you and FlyQuest. Like C9 seemed to be very much like, systems based, do it by the book, like we're here to get a job done. Whereas FlyQuest was, kind of, at least from the beginning of the year, like you always got the vibe from it. It's like, oh, just freestyle. We as the coaches are here to like facilitate these crazy, band of hooligans that we've got as our team, and like we'll be on our merry way, as long as we, as long as we get the work done, we can play after. It seemed at a certain point that kind of all swapped, and then they were the more serious team, and you guys were the more friendly team. Talk to me about that
Mm.
rivalry, because I mean that rivalry and approach came to a direct head when it was the whole, you guys going to fucking Korean barbecue or whatever, is the whole Korean barbecue drama. So talk to me about that, because it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like this Shakespearean play where like, Tale of Two, or Charles Dickens or whatever, Tale of Two Cities. You kind of go over and look at how they're doing it over there. You got these two camps that are competing. What was it like at the beginning of the year, and then culminating at that Korean barbecue incident?
Um yeah, I mean you hit on like the differences in how it's like perceived of like more team focused like structure versus like individual. Obviously it came out more towards the end because I think people would have said like FlyQuest was like focusing on like team stuff and getting better as a team or whatever. Until like there was some interview came out, which I know you're kind of referencing, that it was more um like individual focused. You
Well,
weren't
that's what
really looking at
inspired.
stuff
When
as a
I
team.
interviewed Inspired, he basically just revealed that during Worlds, like it was just a thing of at a certain point they were just looking at each other's lanes because their lanes just sucked at
Yeah.
Worlds specifically.
So yeah, I think a lot of teams like devolve into that type of like individual focus type thing. So I think we were pretty similar in that regard, to be honest with you. The rivalry I think just kind of spawned out of just out of nowhere. It was just FlyQuest shit talks a lot. I think they kind of had the like sore winner type thing kind of going on anytime that they won, which is like low key really annoying. So I know like no one in the league liked them at all. There was always just that was there. Like these guys win and they're just gonna just talk about how shit everyone else is and how much better they are and everything they're doing is correct and everything else anyone else is doing is wrong.
Can I ask you a question
So
that
it's
might get
fucking
you in
annoying,
trouble?
obviously. Sure, if you want to.
You choose whether you to answer it. It feels like with FlyQuest,
Yeah,
like it was a thing where obviously they're the team that they brought in players like was it Prince, and who was the mid laner that then went on to play in the LPL and I think is playing in the LCK, or did at some point.
Vikla.
Vikla, that's the one. And that was a
Yeah,
roster where it was like immense success brought in via imports. Obviously, presumably that roster cost a decent amount, and
yeah,
tragically crashed and burned. Not to say it has anything to do with him, but obviously like people view that as like a massive waste of Prince's talent because he kind of just completely like just died after that. Like he was bad there, and then he went
yeah,
to the LPL and he was bad, and then he retired really young. With that happening, and then they're rebuilding this roster. Obviously, there's a lot of talk of Papa Smithy, the GM, talent ID, bringing Busio in. Um, do you feel like that's kind of like from that legacy switch there, from that year to year? Is this a when this FlyQuest team was winning? Do you feel like it's like a deserved win? As someone that has spent that 3 year grind of like the rebuild and
yeah.
building, do you look at that team as like, oh well, you guys might be annoying, but credit where credit's due, or are you just like, well, fucking, this is not really that deserved?
No, I mean, I think it's always if you win, it's deserved in my opinion. Like even when Energy won in that year, everyone kind of like discredited them for like all the teams around them collapsed. That team had like a hard struggle, which I know like Dokla kind of talked about, where they had like their own player meeting about it. Um, and then they found success afterwards. Like you are overcoming um a lot of struggle no matter what to win.
Yep.
So I will never take that away from them. Like at all. I just don't like when people are like just cringe winners. Like they win and then they have to just like jerk themselves off in front of everyone. Like, oh, look at how good I am, bro. Like we're so good. We did this right. We did that right. Like it's just kind of like a cringe approach. So I never really liked it. I thought it was lame. Like GG had kind of done their own thing too, where when we had like made playoffs and everyone said our team was a 10th place team, we made like a um some social post like making fun of the people that like had us rated 10th when we got 6th and did like a victory lap that we got 6th or something. And it was just kind of like it was just cringe. Like, why are we doing this? It was funny because I'm not the person being made fun of with it, but it's just like this is just cringe. Um, so I don't know. I never liked that. I do think a lot of that was kind of like a FlyQuest culture type thing plus Bwippo. That's always just kind of been the type of person Bwippo was, to be honest. He's nice in person, but then can be cringe like that, which is obviously what Dokla had an issue with as well. That he called out pretty publicly. That he felt like the guy was like snaky to him or something. I don't remember the specific details
Yeah,
of that, but I know that
well,
was the
he
drama
kind
in
of was
finals.
what the whole thing was he was like watching Whippo VODs and then Whippo just like went on this massive tirade against him and he was like,
Yeah,
what was this whole thing of like, what do you say fuck me for? Like I've been watching you. I think the biggest takeaway from
yeah,
Dokla was kind of he was saying that he felt like he was the perfect example of everything that Whippo preaches. Like he was an example of like
yeah,
perseverance. And it's like, well, practice what you preach. You should be celebrating me, not shitting on me.
yeah. Should be happy for me. Yeah. So I don't know. I just whatever, bro. I just thought that shit was cringe, and I never really liked them. So I think the rivalry was more so just like FlyQuest made everyone hate them, and we were the team that was closest to beating them, so we were the rivals with them. Um, I guess they wanted to be the enemy of the league. I think that was the route they were going down, but it
Do you
did
think
feel
that
like a
was felt
weird
by the
setup
fans
when there
though?
used
Because
to
I feel like
be,
a lot of people got
you
behind FlyQuest as fans, but it sounds like more internally, perhaps amongst teams, FlyQuest was hated. Is that what you were saying more so?
Yeah, I think FlyQuest is just hated by most people in the league. Like I'm friends with a good majority of the league, and from what I understand, everyone just fucking hated them. Which like they don't have to be liked by anyone. So fair play to them. Like I think they wanted that kind of villain title as well. It seemed like their pivot was that. Um, and then yeah, Fly had the fans, but they were like putting more emphasis on like doing that too. So good for them. Like Bwippo is doing a lot of like stream content. Busio's posting a lot and is like very like hyped up. He
They
obviously
also
has
have
like
like
support from a lot of the
to give
fan
credit for
groups.
them, like some of the best designs like I've ever seen in esports. Like I think is it Carly? Carly's her name, the one that everyone on KC wants to come and join. Their design team and
Yeah,
a lot of what they do conceptually is just like the best in the entire space. So that definitely helped for them.
yeah,
But I do agree with you in terms of there's kind of like there's like an ephemeral arrogance to the organization that kind of made it a bit difficult to get behind them sometimes, for me at least,
yeah.
from a third party perspective.
Because I want to like them too, to be honest. Because like I like the merch stuff they're doing. Like I think it's sick. I like the stuff they're doing with like the like they just did a like Von Dutch like party thing
Yeah,
here, like a
yeah.
networking event for people. That was cool. Um,
Did you go to that?
I like Bustio a lot. No, I didn't go to it. I don't. I'll sign up for those things, and then I think I just never show up. I never really feel like it. Um, like I like Busio a lot. Thought he was good. I was really happy that Masu was moved up too. But then it's just like I feel like I can't like them because their team is just so fucking cringe about this things
Is
that
it
they're
just
doing.
a social media thing, you think? Is it just like
No, no, no. It's just like how they're behaving. That's literally it. Like I don't care about socials. Like, bro, I think it's cool when people shit talk on social. Like that type of thing is like
oh, so I thought
chill,
this was all about socials, but like, can it
Oh
really be
no, it's
this
kind of
bad from
carrying
just one
themselves.
player? It's just Bwipo? You think other players on this
No,
team are
it's not a
talking shit?
Blippo thing, bro. It's not a Blippo thing. It's literally just how the like org is like carrying themselves. They just like gas themselves up from obviously like Blippo is the most like public player side of doing it. Inspired has his own like aura, like ego, but his is like more chill in my opinion. Like I don't care about a player like that. Like he's not really like talking down on you that like you're shit. He's talking up himself. Like he thinks highly of himself and that's like it. Whereas like Blippo is more of a I'm doing this right and you're all doing this wrong type of thing, which is low key like is like cringe.
Bwipo
And then the
has like
org
the
kind of
thing
had
of
that
like,
like
and
vibe
just
themselves.
as I've always said, like, and like Bwipo is like a friend. Like I get on quite well with Bwipo, but he does just go into
Yeah.
these like kind of places. Like he has like a very Homelander mindset where it's just like, you need me to save you. Like the monologue that he gave, where it's like, you
Yeah.
should be thanking me. Like that's always the vibe I get sometimes when he goes on these like long tirades about like what players should be doing. It literally is like the
Yeah.
Homelander thing. Where it's like, you need me to save you.
Yeah. But there's like, it like annoys me in a way mainly because like it could be really positive. Like he could be like a pretty positive um like symbol for things, like pushing people. Like I know he was doing a lot of really positive things while in Brazil, which I liked. Um,
Well, even in Europe, I
but
mean, like
even
beyond,
even that felt like kind of like he was doing it more so as a hyping himself up thing rather than always just helping like other people thing. They're
yeah,
like,
I
"Hey,
think
you
that's
guys should do this. This is really good." Like it would be really good. Like I think he has the opportunity to be like a really good positive role model for people of like pushing, like the perseverance thing like you're talking about and all of this. And then instead it just turns into like talking down on people, which just turns to cringe. So I never liked it.
well, it's like a thing with him where I feel like it's just he's close to getting like if you peel like one layer back on the ego, it will become less about doing things good. Like it's like the intentions are good, but then the result is it's just kind of like self-masturbatory in some ways. And it's about like
Yeah.
how do you find external pleasure without like
Yeah.
internal pleasure some of the time. That's the kind of vibe I get. Because even in like Europe, it was like obviously he was flaming a lot of players, but like he was, like, I know personally, like he was going and like reaching out to players and like talking with players and like helping them and stuff like this. So it's like a thing where like at that point it's like, well, you're not doing this in public, so there's actually no real intrinsic benefit to you. So there clearly is an
Yeah.
aspect of what he's willing to do that is like non-intrinsic, but it feels like when it's in the public eye, potentially it gets like the lights kind of redirect where those intentions are, and it becomes like you're saying, like very self-masturbatory at times.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just didn't like the vibe. And it felt like just FlyQuest kind of had that vibe as a whole as their thing. So a lot of people just didn't like him. Um, just chill. They made it more fun to like play them, to be honest. Like it did create that level of like rivalry, which was nice. Everyone is preying on their downfall always. So it's a good motivating piece. And I guess in a similar way for us with the Korean barbecue thing that happened, which is clearly just dumb as fuck. Um, where it was a way to like hype Blippo up was the reasoning that was given to like I don't know, anger him that we would dare go to Korean barbecue as a celebration thing, which
I really liked that as a
it's
reasoning
never
because it was like
celebration.
I really liked it as a reasoning because it felt like the elephant in the room there, like proverbially the elephant,
Yeah,
like the elephant that's been like locked up in the circus. Like they'd like left like that
yeah,
elephant in that same circus, like the guy who had the key to the cage, like presumably had fallen asleep during the most recent trip to Europe in
yeah,
2024 because the idea that they were like hyping him up and Whipper was some sort of like source that they had any control over is quite ironic considering like the fact that just like during 2024 they basically got kicked out of the offices that they were staying at Vitality because of like the fact that he was like talking shit about like players on Vitality while they were staying there, right? Like it's like it felt like to
nice.
me there was a direct like I hope that's public or I feel like it's presumed to be public because they were staying there and then they weren't anymore, right?
Well, now it is. So
Yeah, sure. Whatever. That anyone can infer that though because they were there and then obviously he said things about
yeah,
a few players on Vitality at the time and then they weren't there anymore. So it's like for me, like it was like a thing of like, well, what's the point of making this excuse for him? I don't think anyone has any control over Whippo. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, why are we
yeah,
why are we pretending that we have this beast under control? Like what's the point?
yeah, yep. So
But
I don't
around
know.
this,
I guess
around
that was like my personal view because I always had that like I mean through the years there's always been like the one I find the most cringe is like it's like a coach ego thing where they'll have like one positive thing happen or like they'll do well one time and then it becomes like an ego thing on everyone when like I mean for what it's worth like you can only do so much as a coach like you have a big impact but you're not actually playing the game and then like just talking down on other people for doing things wrong I've always just found like cringe so I think that just irked me about Blippo and then kind of just related to Fly so it made it a personal rivalry at least.
But around about this time, is when Dom started being involved in the team, and I obviously knew that Dom was like helping out with C9 like quite early on because I mean that was like part of his excuse for like why Ruddy Sat was doing so badly. He's just like Jake, listen, too much time on the C9 at the moment. I thought he was lying, to be honest with you. I just thought it was just,
Yeah.
he just didn't give a fuck. No, I'm joking, obviously. But yeah, he obviously told me that he was involved in a lot of the C9 stuff, and then yeah, I kind of wanted to get like, when did that come about? Like, how did that start happening? Because obviously Dom's always had like a degree of ties with C9. Like, I know he's been quite friendly with Jack. Like, think he was a streamer for C9 at one point as well. So how did it come about him getting involved and coming in as a more of a consultant since he's moved on to a more permanent role now?
Um, Dom was like he was there for the entire like last year and just like was figuring out his like role with it. Um, when it came to this off season, um, it was pretty like straightforward that the changes that we were making in coaching staff would just have us all like move to like I'm moving up to head coach. Dom will move in as like a strategic coach, and he'll be in person. It was all pretty direct, and we were all down to work with each other. Like I think I was the closest with Dom of all the coaches last split. I spoke with him the most. Vagar is like pretty focused on individual review, especially for Loki, and would focus on like what he's saying, so he wouldn't be in like the room with me, like listening and talking as much
Did you have a good relationship with Dom
as
before he
Dom
joined the
would.
team?
No, me and Dom like had like a up and down like type of relationship. So we were friends before, had like a falling out um during my like Golden Guardians period, and then we talked before he joined up on C9 and like cleared the air on that. But I like Dom a lot. I like working with him. So I was pretty excited to like work together this year. Um like when I was thinking of like people to work with if Dom wasn't going to be here because I know he had like a TL opportunity, it would have been Spooks. Otherwise, that would have been the other guy that I went for. And I'm like happy to work with either. Like Dom puts in a lot of work. Like I was kind of giving him shit during the year of I don't know when he sleeps because he would co-stream everything and then he would show up for scrims and be there like the whole day. He'd usually skip a game to like go to the gym, which is completely fair. Just like I don't know how the fuck he manages that at all. I genuinely just didn't know when he slept.
Yeah, he is like he's a bit of a demon, like work ethic wise. It's kind of crazy. And like so many co-streamers,
Yeah.
it's like you hear them talk about the work and you're kind of just like, oh, buddy, like literally, like you just slink out of bed and you turn your PC on and like you watch games. Like it's not like you work in a factory. But with him, it's just like he'll just wake up at any time and he just kind of grinds it. And then on top of that, it's like when you get to know him as well, it's just like there's so much shit he's doing on top of that. Like it's not like he's
Yeah.
getting in bed, out of bed, turns the stream off, and then he goes and sleeps. It's just like he's like doing shit in the house. Like he goes to the gym. Like he does all of the shit. He's obviously got his
Yeah.
relationship that he's like very like actively involved in. Like they're going out and shit like this. It's like I don't know how he does it. Like it's kind of crazy. Like he's a
Yeah.
bit of a demon in that way. Like
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Like I feel stressed with the amount of time like I burn every day like working, doing the like C9 lifestyle and then keeping up with other regions. I don't know how he does half of it on stream and
well,
then
there's
does
a
the rest like in person. It's
Well, there
crazy.
is a theory in how he does it.
The crack theory? Is that it? Is
Sad to
that what you're
say,
trying to
yeah.
say?
Sad to say it
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Sucks to see.
Big theory on the streets that he's got a bit of a problem. Um, Speaking of cracks, on C9 this year, obviously didn't achieve as much as you would have wanted to. You set out the initial expectations in the year to make it to Worlds, and that obviously didn't happen. Um, we've
Yeah.
we've made the promise of talking about some of these failures. I wondered if you could give me an insight into potentially what went wrong this year and what factors owed to not achieving what you should have.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously had like a pretty obvious like collapse at the end of the year. I think that type of thing is always like a culmination of what's happened earlier in the year. Um, we obviously almost won split two, which would have been great. But even then, I don't think we were really building enough structure as like a coaching staff in the game, like for the players to really work off of. We have a lot of like talented individuals, and we push that like really hard and really well. Um, but I think you need a little bit more of like a you need to be able to expect like what your team is going to do most of the time. You need to have like a better structure of I know they will do this, I know they'll do that. Um, and I can trust that this type of thing will happen. And I don't think that was really like built out. That wasn't a priority at all for what was built out for the year. It was all focused on like hey draft and individual play, and we'll talk about team concepts, but we're not gonna like drill it and do it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think once we Like our team won scrims a lot, so it's really easy to be chill when you're winning every scrim. Um, and towards the end of summer, like for better or worse, the 5-0, we 5-0'd FlyQuest and did Korean barbecue thing. We didn't get any more fly scrims after that. And fly was usually our check team. Like we'd play them and they would be hard scrims. The other teams we would always just usually just kill off. Like it was pretty easy to beat them. Sometimes you'd have bad days, but usually it's just winning versus every team. And after that with fly, we didn't really get checked that day. And we probably needed it. I think it always helped us when we would scrim them and they would beat us. So we'd be like, yeah, this isn't good. We need to work on this. Need to work on that. Um,
Tell us
so I think we
just
just suffered from that.
briefly before you go on. I wanted to hear about the
Yeah,
infamous, because we've heard about the infamous 5-0, but like, give us the details. Like,
yeah.
tell us about the battlefield. Like, I want to hear it from someone who was there and like saw the men fall. You know, like what was going on in this 5-0?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was just a normal scrim day. I don't know, man. We were just
who was
playing, and
inting? Like,
there were some
why
close
was it?
games.
Why was it a 5-0? Like, who was really griefing on the day? You remember?
I don't remember a specific person really griefing standing out. Usually, if someone's like running the whole day down and they're tilted, you kind of know, and you just
Yeah, fair.
know it. I don't remember a specific person really, because like some of the games were close. Like I think like 3 of the games were really close games, and we just happened to win. Um, so it wasn't like we just fisted
Yeah,
them
fair.
5 games, and it was just over. Uh, so yeah. Anyways, where was I with that? I lost myself.
You were talking about you were talking about the 5-0, and then sort of, oh god, I don't remember what
All good. You fucking interrupted me and you ruined. No, it's fine.
I wanted
I
to hear the
mean, yeah, the
story, man.
5-0 scrim, and like we just didn't have someone checking us, and
Checking
we're
it.
winning too much. And when we're winning a lot, it's really easy to just be passive of what you're doing because like other teams will be tilted playing you, or they have the like scrim effect of like you just get fisted by this team. You kind of go in and you're not trying like your hardest, I guess. Like teams really fall into that towards the end of the year, especially where they're just tired. We have a C9 scrim today. Oh, we're gonna just get fucked up by C9, whatever, and they just roll over and die. And you can like train really bad habits. I feel like, and I think it's really on coaches to like make sure that that doesn't happen, and keep focused on like a good structure, a good lesson plan of like what it actually needs to be improved on and what is and isn't good enough over just winning the game. Um, and I don't think we did a great job of that at all. Um, that was a big piece that I was personally like pretty upset about. Um, where like I took that as like a personal thing too. Just obviously could have stepped up and done like way more with it. Um, I kind of dug into my role in the team and kind of stuck to that. I know me and you spoke about it where I was just, like, hey, I chose this as my role. I'm gonna do this. I kind of like picked the job for myself. Um, Me and Dom would work with a lot of that stuff and do what we could, but didn't really like push and take more ownership where I could have. So I was pretty disappointed in myself in that regard. But yeah, I just think we were missing it. And then when stage stress happened, like it just we didn't handle it well. We didn't handle the pressure when it was there, and I think that's just because we didn't create a form of pressure in our scrims when we were winning every scrim, and we really needed to do that. So
How do you create a form of pressure in scrims if there's no team that necessarily can check you?
you still need to have goals that you're like striving for. Like you say you win a game, but you got like you fisted in lane, but this team is just they're so bad they can't win off the fact that they like beat you out in a lane swap and got like a better advantage, or beat you out in a straight up lane and got a better advantage. They still can't win. You still need to be like pushing yourself to make sure that doesn't happen and pushing for like more. It's really just like expectation setting. It'll be different depending on like what your team struggles are, but um, you need to create something, or else it's rough. It's really 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 tough. So yeah, I mean, we played SR. Honestly, for the SR series, like I really blamed a lot of it just on like draft approach. Like I didn't like um what we ended up on, and obviously like I took that responsibility on me.
Are
Um
you the main contributor to draft in this team?
for like the openings for drafts is always like generally a hey, this is the idea that we have based on um what we play as a team and what we practice. So we should go with this like type of draft. Obviously, talk about it together. It's never one person doing draft, but like it's my job. So if it's a bad draft, it should be on me and not on like a player because ultimately, like I have to clear it if we're gonna do it. Um, so we ended up playing champions that weren't necessarily good for us, but we could, when you can pick a champion and lock it in, but you're not necessarily like really good at it, and it's not like your team isn't really good at playing with it. We would play too many champions like that.
Can you give me an
Um,
example of some of those champions?
like for us, we didn't really play Annie. Annie was something we struggled with. Rise was also something we struggled with. We lock in Rise, and it's like our team couldn't play the game with this super well, and it wasn't a Loki strength because like we talked about, he's not a very vocal guy. He's playing, Annie and Rise. Usually, you want to be like pretty adamant about what you want and like punish advantages like that. Um, Loki wouldn't talk about that type of stuff, so it wasn't really his type of champion. But you put him on like Zeri mid, which he just needs to like shut up and play, and we'll create good situations for him, and he does really well. And we didn't lean enough into that type of thing versus SR. So, and
Some
then DSG, we almost had a collapse there as well. Like I think it was just because we never lost a game to DSG the entire year. Like we refused to scrim them because it just weren't good scrims in our opinion, and then we almost lost to them. I think just losing even one game was just kind of like a like fracture a little bit on the mental. Obviously, I only know like so much about how it really affected everyone, but just from like viewing it and kind of seeing how the games felt, like it just felt like a weird day. It didn't feel right.
hmm.
Um, and then obviously like pieces of draft for that too. So
I mean, it sounds like kind of a painfully obvious question that is designed to annoy you, but if it's so obvious to see the conditions by which you win, like what are the factors that contribute to you making these decisions in draft? Because if it's like you see the way we win games is Loki playing these kind of rolling ball into win kind of champs where you just play out of the lane and we'll create strong conditions for him. Why was that not what's happening? Is part of that due to fearless? Obviously, that limits what you can do every game. You kind of got to be bringing different things to games. What were the contributing
mhm.
factors?
Yeah, I mean, fearless makes it harder to like more target practice in its own way. Um, just depending on the opponent you're playing, like some champions might not be up that you're expecting will be up. Um, but you can usually target it pretty well. I just think we didn't do an amazing job of doing that really, and we put maybe too much time into champions we should have dropped like earlier. Like again, we played Rise a lot, even in scrims. And we probably should have just dropped this earlier. Same for Annie. We played it a good amount in scrims because we thought like this champion is good and it's like easy, so we should be doing it. Um, but it didn't fit us. So it was like wasted time. We could have put that time instead into playing more things versus Annie, more things versus Rise that are maybe like funnier picks that might not be amazing to look at, but can work for us and like work for our players better.
'Cause
So
you've obviously got Veigar V2 in as an analyst, and like this is a guy where every day I open my Twitter and I see him claiming that some new champion is broken. Obviously, he's like big, criticizer of some of the Nivea builds, and like was talking about Nivea being broken. And I remember him speaking about Rise being, he was like one of the first people to talk about Rise being like broken again and stuff like this. Like, how much of
yeah.
a contribution is he having to champions that are being picked, whether he's being listened to or potentially not listened to?
Yeah, I mean, I think Vagar will have a lot more input this year. Like that's the plan from what we've spoken about too. So like help enable this more. And like hopefully with our team set up it will be easier to kind of do. Vagar will always provide like what he thinks of it, but it is also on people to like buy into that and be willing to do it. Um, but definitely a big plan this year was to help enable that more Vagar because I think it's like a massive strength of his. Um, this year it was funny versus DSG. They pulled out the Anivia Poppy into Rise, which I know Vagar was trying to get Loki onto Anivia for a while, and he wasn't really like into it. But it was yeah, Loki came out of the game and said it just felt too hard to play, and I think Vagar is just like sitting there like probably pissed off, like yeah, of course it's hard to play, bro. I fucking told you.
Yeah, he probably would have said that
Um,
and then started beatboxing afterwards, to be fair. So,
yeah, basically.
is it quite hard to get
Um,
Koreans to play some of these champions? Because I know notoriously it's like a thing where they kind of had their own idea of what's good, and then therefore like that flexibility. Like I remember like famously the example is like LS getting trying to like convince like Summit and people like that, like, hey,
mhm.
like it wasn't like I like champions like, oh, like we're gonna be playing like Ivan and shit like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely hard with Korean players where they do have a tendency to want to play what is just like the meta and hyper focus on that, but it's hard with all players really. Um some people are down to be more flexible around what they're doing and try out these types of picks, but a lot of people have that same type of mindset where I just want to play what is known to be good and I want to perfect what's known to be good. So, it's not just Korean players, but a lot of the Korean players that are good tend to
Mm,
have that mindset. And they've just mastered their pool.
sure,
But, Loki obviously had some of his, like, champions that he liked to play, like, Bizarre as an example.
sure. That's a good point. Uh, there seemed to be a team where like I don't know if it was a problem during the year, but at least like the watching the last few series, there seemed to be like a continual problem that you guys were throwing at Atakhan. Talk to me a little bit about that
Yep.
because that's like a thing where if you watch a team going that, it's difficult to not be like blaming the coaches because you're just like, well, this is a routine that needs to be like exercised from them, like in like a like a spiritual like seance kind of way. Like this is a demon that
Yeah.
keeps haunting them. Why was that happening? Like, give us a little bit more of a unique insight on that because it's been such a massive meme on Twitter. Like, I see like Raz post it and the LCS post it. Like, please stop dying
Yeah.
to Atakhan.
I mean, yeah, I think every team was griefing to Atakon. Everyone is like whoever would start it would just die to it. Um, I mean, we had a lot of discussions around it, around what to do with it. I know Dom had a pretty big impact towards the end of like how we were setting up and doing Atakon. Um, which fixing that is just a lot of like drilling it into their head. Like he would just hit Blabber every time, like, yeah, bro, you didn't do this, and Atakon looked a little tough, huh? Like that looked pretty shit. Maybe we should do this
Is
every
that how he
time again.
coaches? I get the impression that like from speaking to Dom, that it is kind of like that, right? That when you said that, I heard Dom. Like,
Yeah, yeah, in some ways, like it just depends. But like if he's making fun of you, it's just like, yeah, this looked like shit, huh? Yeah, okay. And then yeah, just that type of thing. And when he's like making fun of Blabber, that's how he does it. I think that's how everyone kind of hits Blabber though.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was just like drilling like what to do around it. Like it was one of those where it's such a pivotal thing in the game that you need to spend a lot of time in practice working on it and doing it. But I don't know, man. It despite success you could find in scrims doing it and like replicating it over and over on stage, it always just felt like the fucking boogeyman. Like that thing, something funny was gonna happen. Something funny was gonna happen, and you're gonna die at it. So I don't know. It was tough to deal with. Feel like in a lot of situations, team would have more success just not touching it. Like just you can keep control in that area, but like the other team, if they touch it, as long as you're ready to take like a good fight angle on them, it could be good for you.
well,
I don't know. It
it
was it
seems
was a weird one.
it seems like it'd be fair to say that from what you're saying, most of the failure in C9 of the last year, of this year rather, sorry, is a coaching problem. Would that be fair to say?
I mean, that's what I took it as. Obviously, like players are in the game and they play it, and there's things they could do better that would make it better. But I think our team was talented enough that we should have won. So I put the blame on like us as coaches. Like I could have done more. I think Reaper could have done more. All of us as coaches could have just done more to make it better. So yeah, like I blame myself.
I'm gonna throw a hardball at you here because I obviously need to increase my stock as like a serious journalist. It's like a journey that I'm going through, like trying to be taken a bit more seriously. The elephant in the room,
Yeah,
obviously, then is that if there's problems with coaching, there's only presumably one change that's occurring going into next year, which is obviously Reaper's been rumored to be going to another team in Europe. And you three are
yeah.
sorry, you and Dom are the ones who are remaining on with. Remind me, is it just you two, or is one other person? Right, I'm forgetting.
Me, Dom, and Vagar.
You,
I
Dom,
can't
and
believe you forget Vagar.
yeah, slipped my mind. You, Dom,
I
and
mean, he's
Vega,
in the
obviously,
chat. He's the one guy remaining.
of course, but just I don't know if I consider what he does work, but we'll talk
All
about it.
right, fair enough. Fair enough.
But that's the elephant in the room. One goes out, two remain,
Yeah.
and obviously, presumably from an organizational standpoint and from internally, that's like the solution, and you always make solutions to engage in success. So I wondered if, as diplomatically as you could, why was it the choice of Reaper to leave? Like, what potential difficulties that he faced during this year, or you faced with him? 'Cause it's never going to be just about him, but
Yeah.
obviously that is the decision that's made. So I wanted a bit more insight to it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, okay, you've been the head coach of an org for 2 years, and there's certain expectations, and then 2 years in a row, they're not met. It You kind of expect, I think, as a coach too, that you're probably gonna get moved out. C9 was expecting to get the Worlds, and they didn't twice. So, yeah, your head's probably on the chopping block, which sucks for him, but it's just how it goes. Um, I think that would just be the case in normal sports too. Like, even if you're doing well, that's just gonna happen. Um, but yeah, I mean, kinda looking at, like, what Reaper does, like, he's very much more of a obviously, he was big for Loki and Thanatos, like, he would talk to them a lot about, the game, help them feel, like, more acclimated to America and, like, help them, like, integrate to the team better. Um, so, obviously, has a lot of pull there, and I have no clue what they're saying in Korean, so I have no idea. Um, but, like, in-game was way more, I think you can tell Reaper worked primarily alone most of his career, which is like very true. He worked with like people that weren't necessarily like on site with him, just like remote coaching and less like delegating and like building structure with that. So I think this is one of the first times he had an assistant coach. I could be wrong, but with like me there in person, um, it's probably like new to him. So I kind of like delegated jobs to myself rather than like coming from Reaper. Is more like individual focused on like what we can do better individually, how we could play a fight like individually better, and more like free flowing with how he reviews rather than I think I'm pretty opposite with how I review. I would prefer to focus on like two or three things a game, and we can check the rest out separately, but don't burn time in this in individual or in team review. Um, so I'm generally a lot more structured with it, whereas Reaper's free flowing, and just game to game kind of based on that. So I don't know. I think we were definitely like complete opposite types of people with how we approach things, which isn't like a slight to him at all. Um, but I think like his situation is likely just kind of a bit of a circumstance of what happens when you're a head coach and expectations aren't met 2 years in a row. The
Would it
org just has to move on.
would it be fair to say that he obviously is an opposite of you in that approach? But is he also the kind of not necessarily an opposite, but maybe exists on the opposite side of the spectrum to Dom and Vagar as well?
Um, I don't know how much for Vagar to be honest, because Vagar obviously focuses a lot on
Yeah.
individual. But when we've talked as coaches in this off season, it's all seemed like we're pretty locked in on wanting to build out more structure as a team. Because I know with all of us staying, it was pretty important that we can also be on the same page with what we want. Like I would hate for Dom to like spend his time doing this and take time off streaming, and he's joining a team with me, and we view the game completely different of like how we should like work together. That would suck. That would suck for both of us and be a waste of time. So it seemed like we're all on the same page so far. And Vagar is obviously focused more on things on an individual level, but seems pretty locked in with what we're all wanting to do as well, even from a remote basis.
So it seems like a kind of a core issue here is a kind of a difference in approaches between you and Reaper throughout the year. Obviously, Dom coming in
Mm.
and being involved at varying capacities throughout the year, but that main relationship, it sounds like towards the beginning, in terms of you feeling like you had to delegate yourself, was there a, potentially from your perspective, obviously you're the assistant, you're not the head coach. Was there a danger in you feeling like you were being underutilized throughout the year?
Um, yeah, I mean that's always the case. If like I feel like when you're an assistant in an assistant coach role, if you're like really trying, I think you'll always feel like there's more you could do. I think that just kind of comes with the territory of um, that relationship. Like I do think as a head coach, you're not necessarily always going to be able to say yes to an assistant coach. Like, yeah, you should do this. There are going to be times where you have to like say like this, don't do this. Like we don't want this because it doesn't fit like your vision of what the team needs. Um, so I think it's natural, like as an assistant coach, to feel like yeah, I could have done more, or like I would have liked to have done more than what we were doing. But with Reaper being pretty free flowing, he was pretty open for me to kind of do whatever. Um, Like, going into split 2 is when I took over more, like, responsibility for, like, drafting things, split 3 more with, like, scouting with Dom. He was always down to just let us do it. I'm like, "Sure. If you wanna do this, you can." So it was just kind of on us to like find jobs that we wanted.
But with being fair here, I almost feel like I need to ask in the way of it seems too simple in that a team can't have this many difficulties in achieving what they need. You're saying that it was very much a thing of he would just kind of allow you to do whatever you want, but did that also in what ways was there like kind of an obstacle being created? Not necessarily by him to you, but like in what ways were you all getting in the way of each other? Because it seems like that's kind of
Mm.
the vibe I was getting from what the conversation has been in the coaching staff. It seemed like at a certain capacity, when the coaching staff works well together, it's like it's all a circuit and it's like continual electricity
Yeah.
flowing around. Like what ways in which were you getting in each other's way?
Yeah. So I mean, I think there would be um like say we're in a situation and maybe I want the team to do this and I want to be like really firm about it and make it like a we have to do this type of thing. Um I can't like just step up and do that, in my opinion, in the role that I was in. I can't be like, this is shit. We shouldn't do this. We need to do this every single time and we need to practice this every single time. In some ways I can, but if it's like a massive team decision, I didn't feel like necessarily too comfortable doing that. But some of that's also personal for me as well too, where I never want to like undermine someone who is above me, and I would feel like that could be teetering onto the like undermining side. And I don't want to do that. I think that's like a fucked up thing to do. That can be pretty bad. And also, like, for what it's worth, our team was finding success. So I'm also observing, and I don't want to like. Maybe I should be learning a bit more about how this is working and taking some of the things away from this that are positives rather than being like biased towards myself. Um,
Sure.
and thinking like, yeah, I got the fucking solution for this. Just do this, and then undermine them and just fuck everything up. You
Of
know.
course, but allow me
Um,
to be a detective for a minute and tell me to fuck off if I'm being, too, I don't know what the word would be, Agatha Christie or whatever about it. Um,
yeah,
but one of the things we talked about in this interview is you're someone that's willing to get out of the way, to accommodate for something.
yeah,
And it seems like in this instance, you're almost deliberating upon the condition of being more involved and stepping up, which is something, in congruence with your logic so far, would suggest that you thought that something was
yeah,
going wrong. If you feel like you need to step up, and that's even a conversation topic for you. So, what did you think that was
yeah.
going wrong that meant you needed to step up? Like, what were potentially things that Reapered was doing that you felt like, well, I think maybe we could do this slightly differently and it would be more beneficial to success?
Yeah, I just think it was more targeted review, to be honest.
Okay.
Like just focus more on concepts and hit these every game. Like let's not break down, all these fights that are happening. Um, spend less time, looking at the why this fight didn't work and more so like how we got to this fight and look at it over and over and over again. Um, just just more I guess like big picture stuff and less of the like in the details. I could have pulled back a bit more on that.
And what would you say, ironically, in the following of that, like what would you say more is it's a weird question to have to answer, and it requires nuance, but like what would you say C9's downfall was in some of these latter series? Was it more bigger picture stuff or was it more smaller details?
Mm, I mean, it was a mix of both. Like it really wasn't too far one or the other. I think it was more just like maybe mental going in where we just didn't have it. I think everyone might have their own like different takeaway from it. To be fair, like the player perspective can be completely different as well too. I think as a player you can very easily see like what my teammates should have done, what should have happened here, because
Hmm.
there's a lot of things in game that like on an individual level, hey, you should just know to do this. But I could also view it as a coach perspective of you should know the team play here, and we should all as a team know this and be able to like say, "Hey, bro, TP here. What the fuck are you doing?" Like wake someone up in case they just missed it, you know.
Yeah.
But because we're so individual focused, it's really easy to see it as this guy should have known his job. Um,
And
so yeah, it's hard to say it's one way or the other just because of how we approach the season.
sure. And obviously, KC, well, the rumor is KC fans will be getting Reapered. Obviously, we'll speak about that in quotation marks, and you can add whatever metaphorical flourish you want to in terms of this question. But I'm sure lots of KC fans, whenever you see them get announced for any players, the mid laner, or the coach, it's a question of who is this guy? Is he good? I guess from someone who worked with Reapered, like what kind of a coach is KC getting if you had to describe him? Sounds like from what you're saying, he's more of like a bigger pictures guy.
Um, yeah, like I think he will focus more on just enabling players to kind of do what makes them good, and that's it. Like I think he will care about the details of fighting and the details of like the individual play mostly. So generally, you can expect like your player's individual play will be on top. Um, like he'll be on point with that and helping it. I think he's also good with like helping Korean players like acclimate to a team. So I'm sure with whatever they're doing regards to their team, since it's not announced yet, it's probably a Korean player on board that he will help. So I think he'll be very helpful for that. But yeah, I think the type of approach he takes just enables players to kind of do what they feel is strong and like play it. And then he'll be pretty upfront if he thinks you suck at something, won't let you play it, and that's good.
Is he any? Does he contribute to drafting or not really?
Well, our team, like obviously he did in the first split, and in the second, like he's helping with it, but it was primarily like my responsibility.
Okay.
He definitely helps out, but that's we delegated that over to me for splits 2 and 3.
Um, and then sort of to round out the interview, I kind of want to talk about 2026. Like, what's going to be different? Like, why is this going to be a good year for C9? I kind of wanted to get your perspective. You also mentioned that the setup is going to be slightly more beneficial to Veigar. Is that potentially a hint that Veigar is coming to LA?
No, Vagar is not coming to LA. I'm just gonna try to enable Vagar more. That was a pretty big goal for me. Like it's really important for me that all the coaches on the team feel like they're getting, um, their impact on the team and they're being used. Otherwise, there's no point in them being there. Um, but this is the same for like all of our teams. Like we have an analytics team as well too that I want to make sure is actively like a part of everything that we're doing and can be useful. And if they're not useful, then at least we know that like if Vagar can't do anything for our team, unlucky Vagar, I guess it doesn't make sense for you to be here. Or if I can't do anything for our team, guess I shouldn't be here. Same for everyone on our team. I think when you're able to actually like know you're being used, it's really helpful to have like ownership of it. Um, but as for like the team, obviously you can't say anything about the players. Uh, but just really expecting that we'll have like more structure to our team. That's been the primary focus of us as coaches talking, and all of our planning for off season has been around how can we better do this and create a better system. Um, so yeah, I guess more systems at C9. Everyone loves those. So
Amazing. And talk to me about like I want to kind of understand. We spoke about him a little bit, but like what does Dom bring in terms of expertise? Because he watches so much global LOL. Is the focus still to have him watch so much global LOL and bring kind of these ideas and concepts into the thing, or do you feel like he already has an established game theory? Like what is his role? I mean, obviously he's a strategic coach, presumably.
yeah, so he is the strategic coach, but he's going to be looking at a lot of games no matter what. Anyways, like that's just I don't think nothing we do will ever stop him from that. I could tell Dom not to do it, and I think he's going to watch all the games anyways. Um, so he's still going to be bringing concepts from that. Like I don't know, just like any coach, he's going to be helping us with review. He's going to be helping build out like the structure, like what we should be focusing on, working with me to decide like, hey, this should be our primary focus for this week for practice. Um, like he is very knowledgeable about the game. He's always up to date with what's happening. So like it's just good to work with. Like I like working with coaches that actually give a shit and are putting in all of their work every single day. And Dom is one of those guys. So it'll be good.
For sure. Inero, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry for keeping you for so long, but it's been a very interesting conversation about all things C9 and a kind of long insight into your career. We'll let you go. Do you have any final words for both the stream and hopefully the YouTube audience at some point?
Yeah, I mean, well, according to one guy in your chat, I look depressed. So you've really ruined me in this interview, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you
No,
look
I
too
appreciate.
depressed.
Yeah, I guess so. Uh, I don't know, appreciate you, bro. It's been good keeping up with you over the years. After one fun run in at MSI, that was chill, and glad to see you're succeeding. Glad you finally started doing this shit. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
But for fans and everything, yeah, just fucking, it's cool. Thank you guys for the support. I've been up and down through my whole career, and I've had a pretty solid group of people. The C9 Discord has been pretty welcoming to me as well. I'm always really active in there, so it's been nice to see them, and I've seen them like pop up in the chat pretty often too, which is chill. Hopefully I can pay that back with C9 winning. I need my win. If we lose and I blow the org up, that's my fault. My bad. Sorry to everyone for that
What
one,
do you
but
do
I don't
if
think that's
you
gonna happen.
what do you do
So
if you shut C9? Like, will you go off into the sunset? Will your reign of terror finally be over?
I think I would have to stop at that point. I mean, when everything happened with Loki, I went to David and I was like, David, I I don't know what to tell you, bro. From me joining C9, mid laner has left in off season that we didn't expect to leave. Portillo has left. Mateus, High left. A lot of people seem to be leaving C9, David. So I think I might
Oh
be
my God.
orchestrating the downfall by accident. But
You are like
let's just not. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
you are very much in Nicholas and Aerosmith. Beyond being a great friend, you are very much a pestilence of plague that has been sent by the kind of the consequences of vice in the LCS franchising period. Thank you so much for joining
Yep.
us. And if you'd like to leave now, you may. Make sure you join. You turn off the video ninja link because if you go and have a wank or anything now, everyone will see it.
Awesome. I'll keep that in mind. I'll find that page. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, man. Have a
I'll
good
see you
one.
later.
Peace, peace.
Have a good one. Peace.